Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in part 3 of What If Team RWBY and Sonic and friends were teleported into Red vs Blue universe. Link description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this isn't a scam. The Red, the Blue, and the Grim Part 2. Somewhere in the middle of the desert, an area full of metallic machinery nestled within the arid expanse of the desert, an imposing base emerged like an iron monolith, a stark contrast to the golden sea of sand that surrounded it. The sprawling compound lie across the barren landscape, an intricate fusion of menacing steel structures and complex machinery. Massive steel walls, adorned with rivets and imposing spikes, encased the compound, creating an impenetrable fortress against the harsh desert winds. Satellite towers rose like sentinels, equipped with surveillance devices that glinted ominously under the relentless sun. The exterior of the base seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if the very metal from which it was constructed harbored a dark intent. Armies of robots in different shapes and sizes surveyed the entire fortress, as if they're programmed with the intent of fighting someone, or rather someone who's fast enough to take them all down in a single strike. The atmosphere around the base crackled with an eerie tension, as if the very air held the echoes of countless machinations and evil intentions. In this desolate desert, Egg Base Alpha stood as a testament to the mad scientist's technological prowess and unyielding determination to conquer the world. His name is none other than Dr. Eggman. Inside the observation tower, Eggman is sitting in his chair, holding what appears to be some sort of stone tablet. He also held a blue gemstone next to it where it glowed with an ominous energy in response towards it. The tablet, adorned with ancient symbols and intricate carvings, seemed out of place in the high-tech surroundings of Egg Base Alpha. As Dr. Eggman ran his gloved fingers over the inscriptions, a malevolent gleam danced in his eyes. "Oh, ho 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 ho," he chuckled mischievously. "Progress with the ancient relic is going splendidly. With this unholy alliance of mysticism and machinery, I shall transcend all limitations and become the supreme ruler of not only this world but the very fabric of time and space itself." He moved to his desk, and began using his gigantic monitor to analyze the mysterious powers and origin coming from the writings and possibly a solution to his goal of world conquest. The massive monitor flickered to life with a cascade of digital displays, holographic overlays, and complex algorithms. It showed a bunch of images that is hard to make out for anyone to see. It displays 3D wireframe models of a hooded figure, a book, and an armored soldier holding a sniper rifle. Eggman's fingers danced across the keyboard, his eyes narrowing in concentration as he delved into the enigmatic forces at play. "Sonic, it has been far too long since we last danced in the chaos of battle," Eggman declared. "A constant thorn in my plans to take over the world, always making fun of my failures while smiling at the numeral amount of times you have beaten me, but today, the tables have turned in my favor. With the Chaos Emeralds in my possession, the birth of a new era, where the might of the ingenious Dr. Eggman is elevated to unprecedented heights with the infusion of ancient power. This'll not only mark the beginning of my glorious Eggman empire, but eventually the other worlds as well." Ha 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 ha. Eggman's maniacal laughter filled the observation tower as he brandished the stone tablet and the pulsating blue gemstone. Beep beep beep. The room began flashing red, signaling the turmoil within Egg Base Alpha. The mad scientist checks his monitor to see a different slide that flickered security footage from outside of his base. He sees Sonic and his friends going out of their way to tear up and destroy any of his creations who are standing in their way. Sonic is running very quickly. He curls up into a ball and spin dashes into the face of an egg hammer. It tried to counterattack back by swinging its hammer at the hedgehog, but instead Sonic leapt and landed onto the tip of the hammer and vaulted himself into the air with a perfectly timed somersault. The egg hammer, caught off guard by Sonic's acrobatics, swung its massive hammer in a futile attempt to strike the agile hedgehog. However, Sonic was then grabbed and picked up by Tails, who spun his two tails fast enough to help him avoid the incoming hammer, which upon impact, almost shattered the metallic floor instantly. Behind the egg hammer, Knuckles ran towards its knees and deliver a sequence of powerful punches onto its joints, causing it to stagger and falter under the relentless assault. He let out a battle cry, and uppercut the robot's waist, sending it into a disorienting spin. The robot was about to fall. It tried to regain its balance while standing on one leg, but onto one of the small square buildings near where the fight took place. Amy appears with her hammer steady in her hands. She leapt off the building and propelled herself high into the air, and with a mighty yell, she struck down the egg hammer by swinging her hammer onto its body, which caused its chest to crack on impact. After taking multiple hits from the gang, the robot finally fell onto the ground. Its optics gazed towards the sky to see Tails flying while holding onto his friend. They're both looking down upon it. Sonic and Tails both smirked, as if they know what they have to do now. He curled into a ball and revved up to unleash a powerful spindish. Tails then holds Sonic, who is still in a ball, throws him as hard as he can at the defeated robot. Sonic spindishes with intense speed and velocity into the robot's body and went through it with sheer force. BZZT BZZT BZZT. Boom. Asterisk. It made its eyes to flicker for a few seconds before its entire body starts to malfunction, and after everything settled, the egg hammer finally exploded into discarded metal. Sonic landed safely on the ground next to the robot's remains. His friends gathered around him. The defeated remnants of the egg hammer lay scattered, a testament to Sonic and his friends' unwavering resolve. Sonic grinned at his team. Another one bites the dust, huh? Tails looked at the remains of the defeated robot. Eggman's badniks never stood a chance against us. Knuckles, surveying the battlefield, nodded in approval. Let's keep moving. We've got more ground to cover, and I'm itching for a good fight. Amy twirled her hammer with enthusiasm. Lead the way, Sonic. We're right behind you. Eggman observed everything that unfolded through the surveillance systems within Eggbase Alpha. From the vantage point of his high-tech observation tower, he scowled at the screen, watching Sonic and his friends dismantle his meticulously crafted creations. This would usually get on his nerves, but thanks to what he had discovered recently, he feels like he has already gained the upper hand of the situation. No matter, bring your little pals to trash my beloved base all you want, because when you do, he grabs a remote with a large antennae and button attached to it. It signaled a mechanized container that rose out of the ground next to the wall from the other side. Behind its small glass window, there's 6 more gemstones that look identical to the blue one, except they're in different colors with each pulsating energy too powerful to be kept in his hands for so long. The moment you and your pathetic friends arrive at my doorstep, it'll be too late for any of you to realize that you have already lost. Present. Bang. Damn it. Bang. Damn it. Bang. Aw come on, what the fuck? Church was from a faraway position away from the blue basin near to a smaller hill. He got into position and tried to snipe a pack of Beowulf's Grim, but every time he uses his sniper rifle, he kept missing with each shot. He cursed his luck, frustrated at his inability to hit the targets despite his best efforts. Church, are you okay? Ruby asked, as she appeared right next to him. Church grunts in frustration. Hey, can you shut up? I'm trying to get rid of these freaks. Bang. He shot another sniper round towards the pack of Beowulfs, but the results stayed the same, and he continued to miss them all. Goddamn it. This rifle's busted, Church yelled, as he threw his gun at the ground. Shish, Church. Can you keep it down? You'll attract the Grim if you keep yelling like that. Ruby hushed. Oh, what do you know, Ruby? You're just lucky with your fancy scythe, aren't you? Meanwhile, I'm stuck here with this piece of junk. Church retorted, his frustration boiling over. Ruby sighed, shaking her head at his stubbornness. She then grabbed out her crescent rose, switched it to rifle mode, and managed to land a precise shot that took down one of the Beowulfs in the distance. See, Church. It's not that hard once you get used to it, all you need to do is to keep a steady head in. Ruby. Church yelled, startling Ruby. Are you ever going to tell me what's going on here? Because this whole shit started when you and your friends brought that dumbass book and these fucking monsters. How the hell did a teleporter malfunction started all of this? Honestly, it's a wonder why you girls are even here in the first place. Ruby looked disappointed at Church. She knew didn't like keeping secrets. She also knew that in doing so may damage the trust between them. But she understood the weight of their situation. With a heavy heart, she sighed, realizing that now may be the proper time to explain everything. Church, look behind you. Ruby yelled, pointing her index finger at the figure behind Church. What? Church turns around, only to be met with another Grim. This time it's a pack of Beowulfs, all getting ready to pounce at their next target. Ah, son of a bitch, Church muttered. You were being too angry. The Grimm are attracted to negative emotions. RWBY stated. With a surge of adrenaline, Church swiftly grabbed his rifle from the ground, his frustration momentarily forgotten as survival instincts kicked in. RWBY and Church faced the pack of Beowulfs, their backs against each other, ready to fend off the incoming threat. "Church, are you ready?" RWBY asked. Church scoffed. "You were just having beginner's luck with that sniper scythe or whatever. I got this." He held up his sniper rifle in determination, put his finger on the trigger, and aimed it at the Beowulf that was approaching in front of him slowly. Bang! He missed. "Oh, come the fuck on!" Church yelled in frustration. Bang asterisk bang asterisk bang. He shot 3 times at the Beowulf, but he ended up missing all 3 of his shots, as the bullets landed near its feet and shot into the ground instead. RWBY awkwardly stares at his frustrated attempts. "You missed. How could you missed? It was 3 feet in front of you. Will you back off already? You're not helping," Church yelled, causing the Grimm to yet again to get more agitated. Roar. Shit. They all roared at Church and began to jump at him. He fell down not knowing what to do, until a certain blue hedgehog arrived at the scene once more and homing attacked the Beowulf back, causing it to stumble and fell down onto the ground in pain. "Well, looks like you two could use a hand," Sonic quipped, flashing a cocky grin as he landed gracefully beside Church and RWBY. Church scrambled to his feet, relief flooding through him at Sonic's timely arrival. "Where the hell were you?" "Just taking a good ol' sightseeing around the place, that's all," Sonic replied. "Thought it was a good idea to get rid of any of those nasty-looking animals around the canyon." Church sighs. "As if my life couldn't get any more fucking weird." Sonic. "Glad that you're here. Think you can help me take down these Beowulfs?" RWBY asked. "You got it." Sonic gave her a thumbs up. "Wait, what?" Church exclaimed. "RWBY, you're just gonna trust him? Just like that? We don't even know who or what he is. Let alone whether he's on our side or not." RWBY glanced at Church with a mixture of exasperation and understanding. "Church, we don't have time for this. Sonic helped us before after saving you from that alpha Beowulf, and right now, we need all the help we can get. Relax, Church, just helping out someone in need. Wouldn't want any one of ya to get any wolf rabies now, would we?" Sonic smirked. Church was about protest, but before he could say anything, Sonic dashed forward with blinding speed, engaging the pack of Beowulfs in a whirlwind of punches and kicks. His movements were fluid and precise, each strike hitting its mark with deadly accuracy. He spindishes and crashes into any Beowulfs that were trying to slash him with their sharp claws. After striking one down, he dodges out of the way after one of the Beowulfs lunged at him, its claws gleaming in the sunlight. With a quick sidestep, Sonic avoided the attack and countered with a swift kick to the Grimm's midsection, sending it sprawling to the ground and dissipating into smoke. RWBY was also on the offensive, as she utilized her crescent rose and began slicing any Beowulfs in her way. One tried to lunge at her, but she managed to dodge under it thanks to her semblance and used her scythe to switch to her rifle mode to shoot it underneath its stomach. It launched high up into the air, she then propels herself with a powerful jump, flipping gracefully before bringing her scythe down in a devastating strike that split the Grimm in 2. As she landed onto the ground, 4 more Beowulfs tried to stab her with their claws. She noticed this instantly, and in response she shot a sniper round to gain enough momentum to swing her scythe quickly toward their necks, and it was powerful enough to decapitate them all. Their headless bodies all fell onto the ground while dissipating into smoke. Church watched in awe at the way they fought against the Grimm. He knew that RWBY and Sonic weren't ordinary people from the start, but to witness them in action was a different experience entirely. As RWBY and Sonic were done fighting against the Beowulfs, she decided to approach him. "Just like that, Church, is what I call teamwork. You just gotta have faith in your partners, that's all," RWBY said, assuring that Church can rely on them. Church stares at them for a couple of seconds, he then stood back up and picks up his sniper rifle. "Let's just go back to Blue Base with the others before I ended up getting an aneurysm," Church announced, as he walked off in the opposite direction. RWBY nodded in understanding, knowing that Church needed some time to process everything that had just happened. Sonic gave her a skeptical look towards them, not knowing the relation between the two. Not to be rude with ya, but he's kind of a knucklehead, don't you think?" Sonic asked. RWBY sighed. I know, he's just, like that, along with the other red and blue soldiers in this canyon. You think he at least be thankful considering we basically saved his life twice. Sonic replied. Yeah, I guess so. RWBY agreed with a wistful smile. But I'm sure he appreciates it, even if he doesn't show it. So anyway, Sonic right. What brings you here? I never met someone so fast. Are you some kind of faunus? Sonic raised his eyebrow. Faunus. Yeah, faunus, as in people with those fluffy animal ears or cool-looking tails. Isn't that what you are? RWBY asked. Not exactly. Sonic chuckled. I'm not a faunus. I'm just a hedgehog, I guess. RWBY tilted her head, intrigued. Just a hedgehog. Well, either way, you were pretty awesome taking them down like there's no tomorrow. I hoped I can become as fast as you one day. Sonic grinned, a playful glint in his eyes. Fast is my middle name. But seriously, I'm just here to lend a hand. Seems like you guys could use all the help you can get against those monsters. You mean the Grimm? RWBY replied. Grimm. Yeah, the Grimm. The animals that will try to kill anyone in their way. That's why huntsmen and huntresses are there to protect those in need. RWBY explained. Never heard of it. Sonic shrugged. What? You too? RWBY said in confusion. What? Is there something wrong with what I said? Sonic asked. RWBY shook her head. No, it's just, that was kind of the same answer that the red and blue teams said as well. When my team first arrived here, we didn't know where we were in the first place. So, when we tried to ask them, they said that they don't know anything about being hunters, or a Beacon Academy, or even Vale, one of the kingdoms we live in. Sonic puts his finger on his chin. He was a little confused on what RWBY is telling him about the place they're in, but he might have a hunch as to what was going on. I think I might have an answer to that question. You do? RWBY raised her head. You figure something out. Please tell me, so we might have a way to get back home. Well, you see roar. Sonic got interrupted by the sudden yell by the Beowulfs and more Grimm in the distance. RWBY was startled by the noise as well, but she managed to compose herself. She was about to go off into the distance to where the noise was at, but Sonic put his hand on her shoulder. Wait, it's best to let me handle them. You focus on getting back to Blue Base with Church and your buddies. Sonic insisted. But they're Grimm, you can't face them alone. RWBY protested. Sonic grinned confidently. Trust me, RWBY. I've got this. Besides, you need to make sure everyone at the base is safe. I'll take care of these guys and catch up with you later. RWBY hesitated for a moment, torn between wanting to help Sonic and knowing that her priority was to ensure the safety of her team. But she knew Sonic was right, they needed to regroup and strategize. Alright, Sonic, RWBY conceded, her resolve firm. But be careful out there. We'll see you back at the Blue Base. She used her semblance to run off into a burst of rose petals, and went off to the location of Blue Base. Sonic snickered for a brief moment while adjusting his gloves. Careful huh? Where's the fun in that? Sonic muttered. Sonic dashed off towards the source of the commotion, leaving RWBY to go with Church and the others back to the Blue Base. As they made their way through the canyon, RWBY couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty about their situation. But with Sonic out there, she felt a glimmer of hope that the answers they find will lead them the way back home. As Sonic continues to run towards the Grimm, he can't help but remember how this whole mess all led to this in the first place. Flashback. Sonic and the gang were all running inside the metallic tower of Egg Base Alpha. Sounds of alarms and sirens began wailing loudly as they hurried to put a stop to one of Eggman's evil plans yet again. The rooms are flashing red, where multiple robots of egg pawns, motor bugs, buzz bombers, and cater killers were alerted at every corner of the halls. They started to chase after them. Tails, remind me again where Eggman located the Chaos Emeralds? Sonic asked. Tails brought up his Miles electric device, and it displays an image of the base and shows the energy readings that is radiating from the emeralds contained in one location inside the tower. He's hiding it on the highest floor of this building. It seems he's planning to use the Chaos Emeralds to power up some sort of superweapon. Tails exclaimed, analyzing the data on his device. Sonic's eyes gleamed with determination. Alright, guys, let's kick it into high gear. We've got to get to the top floor and put a stop to Eggman's latest scheme. But Sonic, look. Amy pointed at the multiple oncoming turrets appearing above the ceiling, walls, and beneath the ground. The flashing lasers are targeted towards the group who are still running from the massive armies of robots. Sonic quickly assessed the situation, realizing they were trapped in a crossfire of deadly turrets. We won't be able to make it in time. We need a plan, now. Knuckles shouted. Sonic quickly assessed the situation, his mind racing to devise a strategy to overcome the deadly crossfire of laser turrets. He glanced around at his companions, each one brimming with determination and readiness for action. Here's the plan. I'm gonna make a run for those turrets, and the moment it locks onto me, I want you all to dodge out of the way, so I can make it shoot the badniks chasing after us. Sounds good. Sounds risky, Sonic, but if anyone can pull it off, it's you. Tails exclaimed with confidence in his voice. Amy nodded, her hammer at the ready. We trust you, Sonic. Just be careful. Knuckles cracked his knuckles, a smirk on his face. I like the sound of that. Let's do it. Sonic grinned, his trademark confidence shining through. Alright, then, here we go. Whoosh. With a burst of speed, Sonic sprinted towards the oncoming turrets. As expected, the lasers locked onto him, and he zigzagged through the onslaught with incredible agility. He was able to step in front of the badniks as fast as he could, making sure that the turrets were focused on him. With his incredible speed, Sonic danced through the barrage of lasers, leading the turrets away from his friends. The red-hot beams followed his every move, attempting to lock onto the blue blur that evaded them effortlessly. BZZZT. Zap, 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 asterisk, boom, asterisk. The rest of the team followed Sonic's instructions, expertly dodging the lethal lasers. As Sonic led the turrets to target the pursuing robots, the air was filled with the sounds of explosions and the clattering of dismantled badniks. This was enough for them to get away from the turrets as fast as they could and reach a momentarily safe zone. Breathing a collective sigh of relief, the team regrouped, their determination unwavering despite the intensity of the ongoing battle. Nice moves back there, everyone. Eggman sure is not making this easy for us. Sonic commented. He's usually not this aggressive unless he's got something big up his sleeve. Sonic's eyes narrowed with a hint of suspicion as he spoke. The team exchanged glances, each member understanding the gravity of the situation. Whatever Eggman's planning, we can handle it. We've faced worse before, Amy said. We just need to stay focused and work together. We can't let Eggman catch us off guard. Tails advised. Knuckles crossed his arms, a determined expression on his face. No matter what he throws at us, we'll smash through it. Let's show Eggman what we're made of. That's the spirit team. Tails, how far until we reach the elevator? Sonic asked. Tails grabs out his tablet. According to my Miles Electric, we're almost there. We just need to make it to the end of this hallway, and once we're inside the elevator, we'll reach the control room where Eggman is holed up with the Chaos Emeralds. Lead the way, buddy, Sonic said. Tails took point, navigating through the labyrinthine corridors with the speed only Sonic could match. The team followed closely, anticipation building with every step. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly, as if the path seemed like it's never going to end, testing the endurance of Sonic and his friends. The metallic walls, adorned with the telltale signs of Eggman's presence, seemed to close in on them, creating a disorienting maze that challenged their determination. Sonic, usually unfazed by such obstacles, exchanged a glance with Tails, acknowledging the unusual difficulty of their journey. This place is like a never-ending puzzle, Tails. You sure we're on the right track? Tails scanned his Miles Electric, the display flickering with data. I'm positive, Sonic. According to my readings, this is the most direct route to the control room. Eggman must really want to keep anyone out from his project. Whatever he's planning to do, must be very important to him. Hey, I doubt that whatever Eggman's gonna throw at us. We'll smash it up into pieces, just like always. Knuckles said confidently. I agree with Knuckles, no matter what happens, we'll find a way to stop him, Amy said with determination. I mean, he barely succeeds in any of his schemes these days, makes me wonder if he's even trying at all at this point. Sonic chuckled, his trademark cocky grin returning. Well, Amy, maybe the ol' Eggster is starting to lose his touch. After all, he does have a daughter now. Amy raised an eyebrow, a hint of skepticism in her expression. Sonic, I highly doubt that. I mean, you do remember the many times she almost tried to get rid of you with the Titans, right? And let's not also forget the fact that she is still helping Eggman with his plans on world domination. Knuckles added. Sonic scratched his head, a sheepish grin replacing his earlier cocky expression. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm giving Eggman too much credit. Still, you think the guy would have better hobbies than doing the same old routine we always do. He does something destructive, we get set back, we destroy his badniks piece by piece, we use the Chaos Emeralds, we crack the yolk out of him wide open, he swears revenge upon us, etc. etc. The team acknowledged that Eggman's plans weren't exactly original or innovative, but they remained vigilant, knowing that even the most predictable schemes could still pose a threat if underestimated. As they ventured deeper into the heart of Egg Base Alpha, each member of the team prepared themselves mentally and physically for the inevitable confrontation with Dr. Eggman and whatever mechanical monstrosities he had concocted this time. Before they continued forward towards a path that seemed like an endless void to some, the group saw what appeared to be an elevator with Eggman's symbol plastered across its doors on the farther side of the halls. Guys, Tails said, trying to gain their attention. I think I see the elevator up ahead, if we make it on time, there's a chance we cool. Crash. Suddenly a bunch of debris came flying from the right side of the wall. The sudden outburst startled them, and they all got out of the way before they got themselves injured in the process. What came out of it is a robot that looks similar to Sonic but has a yellow circular depression in his chest with a black center, metal fins on his head to resemble quills, and almost every part of his body is coated in steel. He is none other than Metal Sonic, a robotic copy of Sonic himself. The air crackled with tension as Metal Sonic emerged from the smoke of the now destroyed wall. Its red eyes glowed with an artificial intensity, fixating on Sonic and the team. He remained silent when glaring at his nemesis, his metallic frame emanating an aura of unyielding determination. The team, undeterred by Metal Sonic's reappearance, braced themselves for another round against the formidable robotic adversary. Well, ain't that a blast from the past? Didn't expect a surprise visit from you so soon. What? Too busy finding ways to copy my style instead of being original again? Sonic quipped, flashing a confident grin. Metal Sonic was not pleased by Sonic mocking him, he always wants to prove to him that he's more superior than his inferior copy. He glared his optics at him, and held his battle stance, indicating that he was willing to fight off against them. You really know how to get on someone's nerves, Sonic, if robots even have nerves anyway. Knuckles observed, getting his fists out to fight. Well, what can I say? Metal is always one to prove he's better than me, now it's high time we put down this bucket of bolts to his place. Sonic exclaimed. We're ready whenever you are, Sonic. Amy said, grasping her hammer with determination. Tails. I am Amy, but Sonic, we gotta defeat Metal as quickly as we can. Tails nodded, putting away his Miles Electric. Eggman's not known for sending one of his biggest creations just for show. There's something huge waiting for us, and we can't afford to be held back. Well then, looks like we'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. Sonic declared, his voice tinged with determination as he locked eyes with Metal Sonic. With a nod of agreement from his friends, Sonic leapt into action, leading the charge against Metal Sonic. He homing attack into Metal Sonic and bounced off of him. It caused him to stagger for a bit, he then boosted with his jet engine to catch up with Sonic. As soon as he landed onto the ground and regained his balance, Metal Sonic unleashed a barrage of rapid spin attacks hoping to get rid of him once and for all, but Sonic, ever the agile hedgehog, somersaulted and dodged with finesse, narrowly avoiding the razor-sharp onslaught. The corridor echoed with the clashing of steel and the crackling of speed as the battle intensified. Sonic dashes forward towards his metallic adversary, by running up from behind him to deliver a swift kick. Unfortunately, Metal Sonic had already anticipated this outcome. Right before Sonic kicked him, he caught his leg before he hit him. Whack! Asterisk. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy all yelled simultaneously. Metal Sonic punches Sonic onto his chest. The impact caused him to be flung from his grasp and crash straight into the wall. The force of his punch was enough for the blue blur to be staggered for a bit. He tried to shake it off, but the moment he did, Metal Sonic had already boosted in front of him. He grabbed hold of Sonic's neck with his metallic hand and was about to attack him on sight. Until someone unexpectedly intervened. Tails, displaying a burst of ingenuity, swiftly flew in with his twin tails spinning like propellers. With precise timing, he executed a swift spin attack, colliding with Metal Sonic and forcing him to release his grip on Sonic. Sonic, catching his breath, acknowledged Tails with a nod of gratitude. The intervention provided a momentary respite, allowing Sonic to recover from the earlier pummeling. This caused Metal to be furious that he couldn't see his twin-tailed fox friend. He tries to boost again, this time, going for Tails, but thankfully Knuckles was able to intervene before things can get messy. "Oh no you don't," Knuckles roared, charging towards Metal Sonic with fists clenched. Amy swiftly followed suit, her hammer poised for a powerful strike. With a swift motion, Knuckles swung his mighty fists at Metal Sonic, aiming to catch him off guard. Amy tried to distract Metal Sonic by hitting him from the other side. However, he was not to be underestimated with, he anticipated their moves, dodging Knuckles' punches with calculated ease and sidestepping Amy's hammer swing with mechanical precision. Smack! Asterisk. Metal then punched Knuckles in the face, who in return punched him back 3 times, damaging his optics in the process. He was about to uppercut him, until Metal Sonic swiftly countered with a precision kick that sent Knuckles reeling backward. Amy, undeterred, lunged forward with her hammer, aiming for Metal Sonic's exposed flank. Yet, with a sudden burst of speed, Metal Sonic evaded the strike and retaliated with a rapid sequence of laser blasts from his chest. Amy leapt to avoid the oncoming lasers, she sprinted forward to close the gap between her and Metal Sonic. Gripping her hammer with unwavering determination, Amy swung it in a wide arc, aiming for Metal Sonic's head. Once she did, she swung her hammer with all her might, connecting with Metal Sonic's head in a resounding clang. The impact caused the robotic adversary to momentarily falter, sparks flying from the point of impact. Amy seized the opportunity, leaping back to create distance before charging forward again. As Metal Sonic recovered, his red optics glowed with a renewed intensity, signaling a surge in his power. It hinted at an escalation in the battle. With a sudden burst of energy, he unleashed a devastating shockwave, sending Sonic, Knuckles, and Amy tumbling backward. Except for Tails, who managed to dodge it out of the way, thanks to his tails propelling him in the air. The force of the blast echoed through the corridor, leaving the heroes momentarily disoriented. Seizing the opportunity, Metal Sonic soared into the air, his jet engine propelling him with incredible speed. Sonic, Knuckles, and Amy regrouped, their expressions determined despite the setback. "We need to work together. Find a way to slow him down," Tails shouted, analyzing the situation at hand. Sonic nodded, his eyes narrowing with focus. "Tails, can you jam his system somehow? We need to get him grounded." "I'm on it," Tails replied, his twin tails spinning as he took to the air, his keen eyes scanning for a weak point in Metal Sonic's armor. Knuckles, cracking his knuckles and grinning, turned to Amy. "Let's give Tails the opening he needs. I'll go high, you go low." Amy gave a determined nod, gripping her hammer tightly. "Let's do this." As Metal Sonic descended, ready to unleash another attack, Knuckles launched himself into the air with a powerful leap. He aimed a series of punches at Metal Sonic's head, forcing the robot to divert his attention. Simultaneously, Amy darted forward, her hammer swinging at Metal Sonic's legs in a sweeping motion. Metal Sonic dodged Knuckles' first punch but was unprepared for Amy's strike. The hammer connected with his leg joints, causing a visible crack. Sparks flew as Metal Sonic stumbled slightly, his movements momentarily hindered. Seeing the opening, Tails zoomed in, his tech-savvy mind quickly calculating the precise spot to strike. He threw a small device onto Metal Sonic's back, which began to emit a series of electrical pulses, causing Metal Sonic to jolt and spasm as his system started to malfunction. "Got it," Tails shouted, a triumphant smile on his face. "He's vulnerable now." In an attempt of desperation, Metal Sonic began focusing all his power onto his signature V. Maximum Overdrive attack. He began charging up electrical currents that were flowing throughout his body. Sonic was the first one to notice this, and he quickly got everyone's attention. "Everyone, hit the deck," Sonic shouted to his team. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy quickly dove for cover as Metal Sonic's body crackled with energy, the air around him buzzing with an ominous hum. The currents of electricity grew more intense, illuminating the dim corridor with an eerie yellow light. BZZT BZZT BZZT. Boom. Ow. Everyone who braced for impact was sent flying across the corridor, slamming into walls and the floor. The shockwave from Metal Sonic's attack left the air thick with smoke and the scent of ozone. As the smoke cleared, they saw Metal Sonic, still sparking and crackling with residual energy, but clearly struggling. His systems were overloaded, and he was staggering, trying to regain control. Sonic groaned as he was struggling to get back up. "You sure like to do things the hard way, huh?" He then gained the strength to dash forward in front of him, and the moment he made eye contact, he delivered a clean roundhouse kick to his chest, and sent him flying to the farther opposite side of the hallway. Metal Sonic fell down from the impact, his metallic body clanging across the floor. Tails, Knuckles, and Amy regrouped around Sonic, each of them showing signs of wear and tear from the battle but determined to see it through. "Nice kick, Sonic," Tails said, his voice filled with encouragement. "Hey, looks like some things just never change after all," Sonic commented. "Yeesh, I'm just glad that's over with, didn't think we would last another minute against him again," Amy said, leaning her arms on her hammer. "Man, you think Eggman would learn by now that we always crush his robots into next week. Even against Metal Sonic, no matter what," Knuckles said, clenching his fists. "Well then, no time like the present, Tails. Let's head to the elevator now while we can," Sonic exclaimed. "Right," Tails and the rest of the gang acknowledged. Sonic and his friends left the robotic doppelganger to lay down in defeat, as they headed towards their main goal. Little did they know Metal Sonic optics were on and had been listening to their conversation this entire time. He then activated a tiny circular blue device that was in the palms of his hands. It reveals a holographic Eggman and is communicating directly to his superior. "Excellent, Metal. Once again, you've proven your worth," Eggman said, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "Now, initiate the plan. Our grand scheme is far from over. It's time to commence Protocol Alpha. Get back here with me, and make sure to do so undetected." Metal Sonic nodded, he deactivated his device and got back up. He activated one of the panels on the metal walls, which doing so revealed a secret entryway to get back to his master silently. He proceeds to walk into the dark room as the doors close behind him, knowing that his master's plan for world domination is only the beginning. Present. Inside the blue base, Weiss, Blake, Young, Sarge, and Tex are now with the other members of their respective teams. They were able to defeat most of the Grimm they could find along the way, but the echoes of distant growls and the haunting howls of unseen Grimm in the surrounding area remind them that their journey is far from over. The blue base provides a temporary respite, allowing the teams to regroup and assess their resources. "Is everyone alright?" Blake asked. "Define alright," Griff sneered. "You guys gave me one hell of a workout," Tex admitted. "Hey, I dunno about you, Buttercup, but that their teleporter gave me the best course of action I've had in years," Sarge said with pride. Young raised an eyebrow, a mix of amusement and confusion on her face. "Best course of action? Sarge, we're surrounded by Grimm, and our way home just turned into a one-way ticket to Grade A, disaster." Sarge chuckled. "Well, sometimes you need chaos to find clarity in the act of war, and chaos is my middle name." "I thought your middle name was Sir," Caboose said, which everyone ignored. "So can anyone tell me what the fuck just happened 22 minutes ago?" Tucker asked. Let's see. 1 minute we were in a truce with the blue team to finally send the girls back home thanks to the teleporter we built with the red gemstone," Simmons began, his voice tinged with sarcasm. "And the next, we're knee-deep with ferocious feral animals who are attracted to negative emotions. I'd say we are completely fucked up the ass." "Will you be quiet?" Weiss yelled. "We can't let any more of the Grimm to notice that we're here." "How the hell am I supposed to stay calm?" Simmons exclaimed. "None of this was supposed to happen. That 5% margin of error of the teleporter exploding and shit gave me a fucking heart attack." Simmons. Yang said. "Like, what the fuck? It's so simple, use the gemstone, make it work. How the hell did science failed me? I'm supposed to be the only one here who's good at solving things with logic and reasoning." Simmons continued. "Simmons." Blake yelled. "Why? Why did it have to be this way? What kind of sci-fi nonsense bullshit is this? What has our lives become at this point? A goddamn joke of a. Can someone shut him up already?" Weiss said, being irritated at Simmons freaking out. Thwacked. Sarge walked up towards Griff and hit him in his face with his shotgun. Ow. Sarge, Griff wasn't the one who was screaming. Blake clarified. I know, I just did that because I thought it was necessary. Sarge said. Fucking hate you. Griff yelled. Can y'all morons calm down for 5 fucking seconds? Tex snapped, her no-nonsense tone cutting through the lingering tension in the blue base. I get that we're trying to survive in a life or death situation, but freaking out about this is not helping. So, either, stop panicking, or I'll skin that maroon idiot alive. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to the mysterious freelancer, her icy gaze daring anyone to challenge her. Okay, shutting up now, Simmons winced, his nervous reply echoing in the temporary stillness that followed Tex's sharp command. This is just getting too messy, how the hell are we getting out of this anyway? Tucker said, as he was about to walk into a different room. Soon we're all gonna be dead because of those creepy animals before you can say where's Ruby in church. I don't think that's how that expression goes. Sarge added. Yeah, Tucker, I'm pretty sure that espresso is supposed to have my name in it when I do something like disappearing and whatnot, Caboose said, speaking nonsense as usual. No, I mean where the fuck are Ruby and church? Tucker questioned. The mention of Ruby and church brought a sudden realization to the group, and they started frantically looking around the blue base. Where are they? Blake questioned, her eyes scanning the room. I don't know, Ruby was right behind us a moment ago. Weiss said, growing increasingly concerned. Young, ever the protective sister, shouted. Ruby, church, where are you guys? Right here sis. The group turned to the source of the voice and let out a collective sigh of relief. Ruby and Church stood at the entrance of the room, seemingly unscathed. Ruby grinned, holding her side, while Church simply shrugged. Ruby. Young went to hug her sister for a couple of seconds, feeling relieved that her half-sister is okay. Where the hell have you two have been? Well, me and Church were busy taking down any remaining Grim that appeared in the canyon. Ruby explained, breaking away from the hug. She flashed a reassuring smile at Young. Oh, shit really? Tucker was surprised by this. Church, is this true? Yeah, what can I say? I'm pretty damn good when it comes using the sniper rifle. Church boasted. No, you didn't, I was the one who took them down with my crescent rose. You kept missing them with every shot. Ruby corrected. Ha ha, you got exposed. Griff mocked. Oh, come on Ruby. I at least tried. What about the one where I shot those hordes of wolves in the leg? Church asked. That doesn't count because Sonic and I were the ones who took them down, while you missed all of them somehow. Ruby retorted. Sonic. Blake mumbled, not knowing the mere mention of this name. He was really far away. Church rebutted. How can you miss it anyway? It was like very close to you. And I managed to take down 5. What the hell kind of shooting have you been doing, ya blue bastard? Sarge questioned. Are you sure those little sausage fingers of yours are even on the trigger? Because I managed to take down plenty of those sons of bitches with my trusty shotgun. That is how you get work done, the red team way. Griff scoffs at his remark. Yeah right, Sarge, let's be real here, your trustworthy shotgun is just an excuse to show your quote-unquote brilliance of the Red Army, when it's really just a useless piece of metal when it can't shoot at something from far away. Griff, as punishment for your insubordination, you deserve to be kneecapped. Sarge commanded, as he lowers his shotgun at Griff's legs. Griff back away behind Simmons. No, not again. Not to brag but, I was able to use the sniper rifle before Tucker. Caboose said. Shut up Caboose, and why did you have to mention me? Tucker asked. Because I feel like having you to be included in the sniper club since, you know, Church is always the sniper guy and you're not. Caboose explained poorly. Goddammit Caboose, Church muttered. Okay that's enough. Weiss yelled, not wanting this conversation to prolong. Can we focus on how we're going to get rid of all of the Grim before they hurt anyone else? Tex stepped forward. Hold on, before we do anything, I think I deserve to know what the hell is going on. What do you mean? Ruby asked. Tex crossed her arms, her gaze sharp. I mean, none of you have explained why we're in this situation in the first place. How did the teleporter lead to all of this chaos with these Grim animals? Simmons stepped forward, feeling a sense of responsibility. Well, you see, the teleporter was supposed to send the girls back home. We used a red gemstone, and there was a small margin of error, but we didn't anticipate this. Simmons, you know damn well I already knew what happened. Tex firmly stated. Simmons was confused. What? Then why did you ask about the... I meant why did this happen? I've never seen anything like this happen in all my life as a freelancer. It's as if the moment I had ever met these brats with their stupid book, they're the main cause for everything. Tex interrupted, her gaze is focused and determined. Yeah, that's what I like to know as well. Church said. Seriously, I have even more questions after seeing you girls in action. Me too. Sarge added. Like for starters, where can I gain such a badass weapon? Goldilocks over there has some nifty gauntlets with shotgun bullets attached to it, it's like an all-you-can-kill buffet. Sarge, as much as I love the praise, I think dealing with the Grim is more important right now. Yang interjected, but still amused by Sarge's enthusiasm. Listen, Church tries to get everyone's attention. RWBY, ever since you and your team came here to this Blood Gulch Canyon, we've been dealing with these crazy-ass animals that came out of nowhere. Also, the fact that apparently all four of you have humongous weapons that look like it can cut me up like a can opener, so you mind telling me what's actually going on, because right now, I feel like I'm in the middle of some cosmic joke I didn't sign up for. RWBY was hesitant to give Church his answer, she wonders if any of them are ready to prepare for what she has to say to them. She looks at Weiss, who nodded in her direction, indicating that it's okay to reveal who they are to the red and blue soldiers. She sighs for a moment and began to speak. I guess the cat's out of the bag now. You see, my team and I are all huntresses in training. We go to our school, which is called Beacon Academy. We were assigned a mission from our headmaster Ozpin, who told us to retrieve a book for some reason in Mount Glen, but RWBY decided to open the container holding it because she thought it was, calling out to her. Weiss paused, glancing at RWBY, who looked sheepish while smiling nervously. And then the next thing we know, we ended up here. Okay, it's official, I give up. Science just lost all its meaning, Simmons declared, throwing his hands up in exasperation. I mean, we went from building a teleporter to fighting off Grim in the blink of an eye. What kind of shit is this? Son, you're just figuring that out now. Welcome to the wonderful world of violence and mayhem, where nothing makes sense, and the laws of nature are suggestions at best. Sarge said to Simmons. Great, just what we needed, something that makes even less sense than our usual clusterfuck of a life. Griff complained. So, wait, these monsters just casually stroll through your lives going around killing people on a daily basis. How do you all even sleep at night? Church asked. Blake rolls her eyes. It's not like we don't do anything about it, there have been many other schools and professional huntsmen and huntresses helping out people in need and protecting them from the Grim. Beacon Academy, where we're from, is one of those schools. They help utilize our aura and semblance to combat the Grim effectively and honing our unique abilities to use them strategically. Aura, what is that? Some kind of superpower? Tucker asked. Weiss began to explain. Aura is the manifestation of our soul, a protective force that shields us from harm. It's what enables us to use our semblance, a unique power that varies from person to person. For example, my semblance allows me to create glyphs that have various effects, like creating barriers or enhancing my speed. So, kind of like how RWBY can go really fast in a burst of rose petals. Simmons said, trying to grasp the concept. Yeah. My semblance is speed-based, and when I use it, I leave a trail of rose petals behind. It's handy for dodging attacks and getting in and out of sticky situations. RWBY explained. Can I have a semblance that makes everyone my friend? That would be nice. Caboose said, as he slowly turns to look at Church right beside him. What? Church said. It doesn't work that way, semblances are unique to each person and usually tied to their personality or experiences. Blake added. We're usually trained to fight these creatures and maintain peace from letting the Grim terrorize throughout all of Remnant. Yang said. Is that why you were talking about all that huntsmen and huntresses stuff when we first met you? Simmons asked. I just thought you were role-playing into some game for nerdy losers, I mean who names a team after their name of all things. Griff remarked. It's not like we choose it, everyone in Beacon's team names is picked by the first letters of their names. Blake added. Wait. So RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang, just so happens to spell out team, RWBY. Church paused, realization dawning on him. Dude, seriously. Tucker deadpanned. Ha, I always knew Lil Red was the leader the moment I laid eyes on her. Sarge gestured towards RWBY. Yep, Team RWBY going around Remnant, slaying Grim, and achieve peace throughout the world. Led by this leader named, well, RWBY. Hey, RWBY grinned, proud of her team's accomplishments but also amused by the simplicity of it all. Doesn't that get confusing at all? Simmons questioned. RWBY shrugged in response. Not really. We're a pretty tight-knit team, and we know each other so well that it just flows naturally. Plus, we've got our own awesome styles and abilities that work well with each other. And we've been through so much together that it's not about the name, it's about the bond we share and the work we do to protect people. Weiss stepped in. Blake smirked. Besides, it's not like we're the only ones with unique team names. There are plenty of other creative acronyms at Beacon. Somehow I really doubt that. Church muttered. Hey, I'm game, if it meant seeing Lil Red here killing all these demonic monstrosities, then what's to say we can't do the same with the firepower of the Red Army? Sarge boasted, holding his shotgun in the air. Never a dull moment with you around here, sir. Simmons praised. Kiss ass, Griff grumbled. You said your students trying to hunt these monsters called Grim, right? Doesn't look like it's working out too well right now. Tex said sarcastically. It usually doesn't involve books floating in the air along with a teleporter being on the fritz. This is a first for us too. Yang replied. That's something that I don't get either. How the hell can a book like that do, well, all of that? Tex asked, wanting to know about the book from earlier. Because when I first found that book, I was on my mission at that time, and I just so happened to pick it up along the way. I thought it was just some book that looked interesting, but clearly, it's more than that. That's what I want to know as well. Church said. RWBY, you said you were the one who found it, do you at least have any idea what's going on? I'm sorry Church, I wish I knew. RWBY replied. It's like some big crazy fairy tale, and we're just caught in the middle of it. Church sighs. Great, we have even more questions than answers, and we still don't have any clue on what the hell is happening right now. I think I can help y'all with that. The fuck? Who's there? Tex raised her gun in response to the voice. The teams were a bit startled by an unexpected guest, and when they saw someone who appeared at the entrance of the room, it just so happens to be Sonic that RWBY and Church had met from earlier. Sonic smirked, crossing his arms as he leaned against the doorframe. How's it hangin', Rubes? Church. Sonic asked. Sonic, you're back. RWBY beamed. Oh my fucking god, I was desperately trying to forget you, Church mumbled in annoyance. Everyone, except for RWBY and Church, are all surprised by his sudden appearance. They have never encountered something that was beyond their imagination. A talking blue hedgehog, wearing gloves and sneakers. It was almost like a fever dream to them in some way. This sudden encounter placed the teams in silence for a couple of seconds. Is everyone else seeing the talking blue hedgehog? Tucker asked, who couldn't believe on what he's seeing. You mean the one who's right in front of us? Griff said. Yeah, really wish I hadn't, Simmons commented. I like him, he looks like he's friends with a fox. Caboose complimented him in a weird way. Caboose, you do realize that foxes, never mind, Church shook his head, realizing it's futile to explain. Who or what are you? Weiss questioned with wide eyes. That is, definitely not something you see every day. Yang said absent-mindedly. I agree, seeing a blue sentient animal sure is something. Blake admitted. Sonic, taking the reactions in stride, raised an eyebrow. You guys act like you've never seen a talking blue hedgehog before. What, never had a talking animal drop by? Sarge, always ready for a challenge, squinted at Sonic. Well, son, you ain't the strangest thing we've encountered today, but you're up there. RWBY, you act like you've already know who he is. Care to elaborate? Blake asked. Oh yes. Sorry for not mentioning this earlier, everyone, this is Sonic the Hedgehog. He saved me and Church when we're about to be attacked by an alpha Beowulf, but Sonic managed to beat it in a blink of an eye. RWBY said ecstatically, after witnessing him in action. Yeah, he's helpful, at the very least. Church winced a little. You don't seem too thrilled by this, Church. Tucker commented. I mean, come on. We've got a living, breathing, talking hedgehog on our side. How cool is that? Way past cool, Caboose said. Church shot Tucker a deadpan look. Oh, forgive me if I'm not throwing a party for our new blue friend. Last time I checked, hedgehogs don't spin into a ball and kill off monsters. Like, did you really expect me to automatically be okay with this? Sonic, unfazed by Church's lack of enthusiasm, winked at him. Hey, I get it. Not everyone can appreciate the blue blur. Just thought you'd be happy to have me around. I mean, I did help take down the big bad wolf after all. Wait, you mean you actually did manage to take down an alpha Beowulf? Blake asked. Sonic gave a casual nod, still leaning against the doorframe. Yep, that's me. Fastest thing alive, and the guy who made those pack of wolfies wish they never messed with you guys. Fastest thing alive, as in you have required a speed semblance. Weiss observed. Nah, that was all natural. Sonic said in a smug manner. This caused the members of Team RWBY to be surprised. What? That doesn't make any sense. You claim to be fast, but you don't have a semblance. Weiss questioned. That's right, maybe he's just really that good at fighting. Yang shrugged. In more ways than you think. Sonic replied. When you travel around the world going on countless adventures, dealing with those types of monsters isn't really that surprising anymore. Not surprising, Tex exclaimed. I'm fucking furious. First, I got beat up by those two brats. I have to deal with shutting off the tank. Then a fucking book. Screwed up the teleporter causing demonic feral animals roaming around the canyon, and now, a talking blue hedgehog is casually trying to have a conversation with us like we haven't been through hell and back. What kind of dumbass shit is this? Does God hate me? Or am I in a never-ending nightmare? Yikes, Ruby said, as she backed away from Tex. Whoa, tread lightly Mr. Needlemouse, tread lightly, Tucker warned Sonic. Why does she have to be so scary? Simmons muttered in fear. Sonic's sweat dropped at her outburst, sensing Tex's frustration. Whoa, tough crowd. I'm guessing all of you have never experienced when it comes to dealing with the unexpected. But hey, that's what makes life interesting, right? I wouldn't call dealing with a blue furball and a book that decides to play havoc with our lives to be even remotely interesting. Tex scowled at the blue hedgehog. I don't like it either, Tex. Church admitted. But we're stuck in this mess, and, it pains me to say this but, Sonic is our best shot we've got. Tex, still not convinced, kept a wary gaze on the blue hedgehog. I don't trust him. Tex, we don't have much of a choice. We've seen some crazy things today, and Sonic is just the icing on the cake. Church replied, reluctantly acknowledging the peculiar circumstances they found themselves in. I'm sure that once we get this sorted out, we'll go back to dealing with the O'Malley problem, and then you'll never have to come here again, deal. Tex didn't seem reassured, but she lowered her guard slightly. You better not do any funny business around here, Sonic. Or else you have me to answer to. Sonic scoffed. Me? Please, I'm more of a, do what needs to be done, kind of hedgehog. I wouldn't stoop that low. Simmons, still bewildered, pointed at Sonic. Can we get to the part where I address the hedgehog who not only can talk, but also wear gloves and sneakers? Because I'm pretty sure that's not a normal occurrence. And the fact that he just so happens to be my greatest enemy in the faces of the earth. Sarge proclaimed, as he cocked his shotgun and aimed it at Sonic. The color blue. You have got to be kidding me, Church groaned, already done with the whole red versus blue nonsense. Sarge, what are you doing? Weiss exclaimed. Danganabit Weiss. It's obvious that their blue hedgehog is going to destroy us all with his nefarious blue ways. Sarge stated, still aiming his gun at the hedgehog. Ruby got between the two to avoid further tension. Sarge, there's no need to fight. Sonic is not here to destroy us. He's just trying to help. Ruby pleaded, attempting to reason with the stubborn red team leader. She's right, Sarge. Blake agreed with her team leader. We may not know who he is, but jumping to conclusions and pointing guns at him isn't going to solve all our problems. So, this is what our lives has come to. We're all about to die to some demonic animals from hell, and now we're talking to a hedgehog. Yeah, I think I'm done here. Griff sighed, throwing his arms up in defeat. I always knew my life would be a series of poor decisions, but talking to a hedgehog. That's a new low. A new low. We've almost got killed by those grim monsters, and yet an anthropomorphic hedgehog is what finally breaks you. Simmons asked, confused at Griff's input. Griff, unimpressed, retorted. I'd rather take my chances with the monsters. At least they're willing to eat me, so I don't have to suffer starvation from being cooped up inside the base with everyone. After hearing all of this, Sonic smirked mischievously, as he got an idea he conjured up in his head. Funny, I've brought chili dogs on the way here. Sonic said. I was planning on sharing it with a close friend of mine, but things didn't turn out the way I expected. So, I guess it'd be a real shame if you killed me right away. You know what, on second thought, he's not so bad. Come on Sarge, let's try to be friendly to the hedgehog so I can get more provide support for the red team. Griff pleaded, trying not to reveal his true intentions. Yeah right, as if I'm gonna let a rodent like him walk around our base freely. He's probably scoping out our defenses for the blues. Sarge yelled, gripping tight on his gun. Sonic raised an eyebrow at Sarge's shotgun. Whoa, easy there, Grandpa. I'm not your enemy. I'm just a guy trying to help sort out this mess of yours. How do we know for sure? All we know is that you could be a secret spy sent to overthrow the Red Army. You would fit right into the blue team's attempt at assassination. Sarge exclaimed, his suspicion intensifying as he eyed Sonic. Dude, seriously. He's a fucking hedgehog. Tucker pointed out. How is a hedgehog supposed to assassinate anyone? Have you ever seen a hedgehog in a James Bond movie? Caboose, with his usual innocence, added to the conversation. The last movie I've seen with a talking hedgehog who goes really fast, he's friends with a policeman, who is the Lord of all donuts. Kind of like that pink lady princess part of your not blue team. Sarge, still not convinced, grumbled, well, that's just the kind of cover story a spy hedgehog would use. You can't trust those sneaky little quill wielders. Hey man, as much as I love punching and shooting things as much as you do, let's at least hear him out. He doesn't seem like he's going to tear our limbs off or anything like that. Yang suggested, hoping that Sarge listens to reason. Come on Sarge, we shouldn't be fighting against each other in the first place. Can't we just get along without this whole red versus blue thing you got going on? He's helping us fight the Grimm as well, I think we can trust him. RWBY asked, wanting Sarge to understand with what they're in right now. Sarge, still stubbornly suspicious, looked around at the varied reactions of the group. This caused him to lower down his shotgun, easing the tension around everyone. I still don't trust this blue menace. But fine, we'll hear him out. Just remember, one wrong move, and I won't hesitate to blast that hedgehog into smithereens. Don't worry old timer, this blue hedgehog is clean. Sonic teased, showing both of his shiny bright hands. Ding. Sarge grumbled in response. Herning, I hate that hedgehog. RWBY sighed in relief, glad to diffuse the tension. Great. Now that we're all on the same page, let's get back to the important topic at hand. Sonic, you helped me in taking down the Alpha Beowulf. I'm thankful you saved me in church. Sonic gives her a thumbs up. No problem, I'll admit, some pretty mean-looking creatures. Doesn't look like they're from my usual place. Weiss was confused by this. Wait, what do you mean your usual place? Are you not from around here? You could say that, Sonic replied. Yang crossed her arms, a playful smirk on her face. So, where exactly are you from, Sonic? It's not like you're an alien from another planet or something. You're actually not that far off. Sonic said. Wait, are you serious? Yang asked. You're an alien, really? Blake raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. Sonic chuckled at the reaction. Well, more like from another world. Sonic revealed. Everyone was staring at Sonic in disbelief, trying to process the information. RWBY voiced the confusion of the group. Wait, are you telling us that you're actually from another world? Sonic nodded. Bingo. Got it in one try. Are you fucking with me right now? Church said with doubt. Sarge, not ready to let go of his suspicion, sighs to himself. I'm gonna miss the days when we were just dealing with the blues. Alright, talking hedgehogs, worlds, whatever. I get it, but seriously, Sonic, about those chili dogs you mentioned early. Griff. Simmons yelled. Fine, Griff said flatly. Dude, for real. First a magical book, then some animals trying to attack us, and now a hedgehog from another world. I think I've officially seen everything up at this point, Tucker remarked. I don't know about you Tucker, but he can be our chili dog provider friend in case anyone is hungry. Can we keep him? Caboose asked. Caboose, he's not a goddamn pet. Church said with annoyance evident in his voice. Can we focus here? Weiss gathered everyone's attention. Sonic, what do you mean that you're from another world? You might want to sit for this one, Sonic advised. The Red, the Blue, and the Grim Part 3. Flashback. Eggman inside his Egg Base Alpha Fortress can be seen tinkering with the ancient relic. His machinery is analyzing every iota of information it can register to his database. Along with the Chaos Emeralds in his possession, he is now finding ways to enact his diabolical plan into action. His two robot assistances, Orbot and Cubot, are on their computers processing the cause and effects of the ancient relic while reading the descriptions off of its stone tablet and seeing the wavelengths upon their scanners having some sort of reaction to it. He began typing in some sort of code onto his machine that contains 6 of the Chaos Emeralds, which upon activating trigger the machine to utilize the power of the Chaos Emeralds, as they start to glow, emanating a vibrant, pulsating energy. The room filled with a kaleidoscope of colors, casting eerie shadows on the walls of Eggman's fortress. The ancient relic, as he holds it in his hand, looked closely at the inscription. Translating this piece of work may take a long time before Sonic and his friends barge in and trash 2 weeks' worth of work. Eggman muttered to himself, his eyes narrowing at the intricate symbols etched into the ancient relic. But with the power of the Chaos Emeralds, I'll accelerate the process and unlock its secrets in no time. Orbot and Cubot continued their tasks diligently, Orbit's analytical circuits working overtime to decode the inscriptions, while Cubot monitored the energy fluctuations. Boss, the inscriptions seem to indicate some kind of ritual or activation sequence. Orbot reported. It mentions a convergence of energies. Eggman's face lit up with a maniacal grin. Excellent. That must be the key to unleashing its full potential. Let's see what happens when we synchronize the emeralds, power with the relic's energy signature. He carefully placed the relic into a specialized compartment within his machine, ensuring it was securely connected to the energy conduits. The Chaos Emeralds continued to glow, their energy now directed through a series of intricate circuits and well-made metallic machinery. Rumble. As the final connection was made, the room shook slightly, and the machine began to hum with a deep, resonant power. Eggman typed rapidly on his console, inputting the final sequence. Orbot, initiate the synchronization procedure. Cubot, monitor the power levels and be ready to make adjustments. Synchronization initiated, boss. Orbot confirmed, his mechanical hands flying over the keyboard. It will take some time for everything to get ready at 100%, but as long as we adjust the kinetic waves between the emeralds and the ancient relic, we should have enough to transport ourselves to this other world. Cubot, are the power levels steady? Power levels seem to be, green means good. Right, Cubot asked. Orbot facepalmed at his ignorance. Yes, then we're good to go. Cubot gave a thumbs up. Finally, with the 7 Chaos Emeralds in my hands, harnessing their magnificent powers at my disposal, I will enact my most daring plan yet. Eggman declared dramatically. The world of Mobius, the planet is still called Mobius this time, right, Cubot? Cubot slightly turns around to face Eggman. Why are you narrating? The world of Mobius will bow before the might of the Eggman Empire. And no one, not even that blasted hedgehog Sonic, will be able to stop me. Ha 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 ha. Eggman gave a menacing laugh, believing he has the upper hand this time. Okay, but, why did you kidnap me? What do I have anything to do with all of this? Behind Eggman is a large glass container with a bunch of metal machinery with wires being hooked in place, and there is someone who is inside. She appears to be some sort of bunny wearing an orange dress and gloves, who is holding tightly to her little blue and yellow friend wearing a big red bow. They both look meek and scared, feeling as if they can barely do anything to warrant them an escape route. Oh, nothing, Cream, you're just bait for Sonic and the gang. Eggman replied hazily. Oh, and Cheese? Cream asked. Potential testing dummy for my robots. Eggman responded quickly. Chow, 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 chow. Cheese yelled harshly towards Eggman. Eggman's sweat dropped, feeling some awkward tension in the air. What did he say exactly? I don't think you want to know. Cream said. Chow, 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 Cheese stated, which Cream automatically understood. Yeah, just you wait, Dr. Eggman. Mr. Sonic will put a stop to you like he always does. Cream agreed with her friend. So is Gemerald, and the rest of our friends. Oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Eggman added. I made sure that Gemerald is currently being distracted fighting off one of my creations that is far away from Eggbase Alpha. I doubt he could even make it here on time. Cream gasped. No way. Why, you're lying. Chow. Chow. Cheese cried out. Eggman grinned at Cream and Cheese's reactions. As for our little rodent problems, this time, Sonic and his pals will be completely incapable of destroying my most powerful creation, the most deadliest, sturdiest, most valuable robot in the planet. Metal. Eggman announced with passion in his voice. Cream and Cheese look at him in confusion. You mean that robot you sent, is just, made of metal? Eggman glared at her in annoyance. No, I meant metal. As in Metal Sonic. It's hard to tell considering you gave simple names to your other robots, like Orbot and Cubot, cause their shapes. Cream questioned. Hey, I take offense to that. Cubot yelled. No, you don't. We're literally named that way because we actually look like an orb and cube. Orbot explained. Oh, I thought we were named that way because we're special. Cubot replied, scratching his head. Eggman groaned, exasperated by his robot's antics. Enough. The point is, Metal Sonic is my ultimate weapon, and with him fighting them as we speak, Sonic or any of his allies won't stand a chance. Cream, still clutching Cheese, looked up at Eggman defiantly. Mr. Sonic will find a way. He always does, and my friends will help him. You won't win this time, Dr. Eggman. Eggman smirked. We shall see about that. But for now, you and your little pet will stay right where you are. Enjoy your accommodations, Cream. Once Sonic and his friends are dealt with, I'll decide what to do with. Boom. You. Eggman yelped in surprise, as he didn't expect a small explosion to happen behind his back. It turns out that Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy managed to defeat Metal Sonic on their way to get to the elevator, and once they arrived at their destination, they destroyed the wall, shattering it to a bunch of pieces. Well, I guess you can say that was a dramatic entrance for ya, huh, Eggman? So, how about we skip the filler and get straight to the action? Being up in that elevator for so long while avoiding your robo-toys was driving me nuts. Sonic teased, ready to stop Eggman with whatever he's planning. Eggman scowled, but quickly regained his composure. Sonic, right on cue. It seems you brought your pathetic friends as well, and here I was just about to unveil my latest triumph. Like we have time to listen to your speeches, Eggman. We're here to take Cream and Cheese back, Amy said, holding her hammer in determination. And to stop whatever it is going on here. Tails stated. Seriously, what were you planning to do with the Chaos Emeralds this time? Knuckles asked, looking to throw down against the doctor. Hey, you would like that, wouldn't you? Eggman asked. Unfortunately, I hate to make this event short, my schedule is pretty full today. But since you're all here, I suppose I can give you a little demonstration. Eggman pressed a series of buttons on his console, causing the Chaos Emeralds to glow even brighter. The machinery around the relic hummed with increasing intensity, and the air in the room began to crackle with raw energy. The ground trembled as the power levels reached their peak. What's he doing? Amy asked, gripping her hammer tightly. He's trying to use the Chaos Emeralds. Tails said, his eyes viewing the machine that's hooked to emeralds and the relic. I don't know anything about that other object he's using, but whatever it is, it can't be good. We have to stop him now, before it's too late. Knuckles charged forward, aiming to smash the machine with his powerful fists. I'll take it down. Crash. Ow. Knuckles. Everyone yelled. Suddenly out of nowhere, Metal Sonic dove right into Knuckles with immense speed, launching him into a nearby wall. Sonic, Tails, and Amy were all shocked to see that it was the robotic doppelganger from before who they just took down earlier, and it seems like he is ready to fight them once again. Geez, always know how to crash a party. Metal. Sonic quipped at the robot. Metal Sonic eyed his red optics at the blue hedgehog. He was about to approach forward, ready to battle against his nemesis and put an end to him. Until Eggman put his hand forward in front of him, indicating that this is not the time to do so. Metal, Protocol Alpha. Remember, you best know when to follow orders. Eggman reminded, his voice calm but firm. Metal Sonic halted, his optics glowing brighter as he processed the command. Reluctantly, he stepped back, his stance still aggressive. Knuckles got back up and shrugged off any pain metal inflicted on him. Sheesh, that metal Sonic is a real pain in the butt. He's pretty strong, but I guess we didn't expect him to get back up so quickly. Tails commented. Not using metal this time, Doc. Are you going soft on us after being a dad now? Sonic teased. Eggman groaned in annoyance. Obviously not, just because I have someone by my side, doesn't mean it'll erase my ambitions of dominating the world. What's going on then, Eggman? Amy questioned. Why kidnap Cream and Cheese? You could have taken the emeralds without a hostage, so why her? Eggman grinned devilishly. Oh, if only you knew, I only kidnapped her just to speed up the process of having a little get-together with everyone here. Wait, what does that mean? Amy asked. Tails heard a beeping noise and pulls out his tablet device. My Miles Electric is picking up a strong source of power that seems to be connecting to the emeralds. What kind of evil plan are you scheming this time? Let's just say this next step of my plan is about to be illuminating. Eggman said, as he pressed a button on a remote device. Beep. Asterisk beast. The room shook a little, causing Sonic and his friends to stumble for a bit, until towards the opposite end of the room reveals a hidden robot who was being brought down by a giant crane hidden in one of the wall panels. Its appearance is coated in red and yellow colors, has a shield on its left hand, and a big laser light cannon on its right hand. It has a helmet that's shaped like some sort of bird, with two bright yellow optics, that is glowing heavily beneath the darkness behind the helmet. An E-2000. Haven't seen those in a long time. Sonic commented. Amy facepalmed. If only Big was here, we would have had a better time taking it down. It took me, Tails, and Sonic to crumble that waste of junk. I'm sure we can do it again if we're careful. Knuckles said with confidence. Au contraire mon frère, I make sure to give it a little optimization to make sure none of you can hold your own against it. E-2000. Get them. Eggman shouted, as he pointed at Sonic and the gang. Swoosh. Watch out. Cream yelled, as the badnik used its jet boosters to fly forward at incredible speed at Sonic. Luckily Sonic took quick notice of this and leapt out of the way, grabbing Tails in the process to avoid it. While Knuckles and Amy jumped out of the way on their own. The E-2000 began charging up its laser cannon, the energy crackling around the barrel. Sonic landed gracefully, setting Tails down beside him, and immediately dashed towards the robot with blinding room became a blur of motion. Sonic zigzagged around the E-2000, his speed leaving blue trails in his wake. As the robot fired its laser, Sonic effortlessly evaded, his movements a dance of agility and precision. The laser scorched the walls, creating deep gashes but failing to touch the swift hedgehog. This caused Orbot and Cubot to duck down for safety. The laser was being shot throughout the entire room, but haven't been able to hit anyone. Cream and Cheese were holding onto each other for safety and comfort but were relieved to see that the laser barely had any effect on the glass container thanks to its reinforced sturdy material that Eggman built. That was too close, it almost hit me by a hair. Orbot observed. I don't have any hair, and neither do you, dude. Cubot remarked. Don't remind me, dude. Orbot said mockingly, with anger apparent in his voice. Ahem. Eggman cleared his voice, causing Orbot and Cubot to be startled, but both were able to get themselves together afterwards, and ready to listen to his commands. We have more important business to deal with instead of talking about ourselves. Eggman barked, his patience wearing thin. Get back to calibrating the emeralds and the relic. Orbot, status report. Orbot began typing into the computer console where a bunch of texts and statistics appears upon the screen. The process is still steady, sir. But apparently the relic is still taking quite some time for it to commence our plan in action. If Sonic and his friends were to defeat the E-2000 before the machinery be on full power, we won't be fast enough to accomplish our main goals. Eggman smiled, as he took something underneath his pocket. It was the blue Chaos Emerald that began to shine with great power. Not for long. Knuckles, go for its legs. Sonic shouted, his voice barely audible over the sound of the charging laser. Knuckles nodded and charged, his fists glowing with power. He leapt into the air, spinning into a drill punch aimed at the E-2000's knees. The impact created a shockwave that reverberated through the room, but the E-2000's shield absorbed the brunt of the attack, nearly staggering the robot. Amy wasn't far behind. She swung her hammer with practiced ease, aiming for the robot's cannon. The impact was fierce, causing the cannon to spark and briefly misfire. "Nice hit, Amy," Tails called out, using the distraction to fly behind the E-2000. He spins his tails into a swinging motion, but the robot holds out its shield to block the incoming attack. Tails jumped back, and quickly spindishes into the robot's face before it can raise up its shield again. This made the E-2000 to be put into a stunned state, as the force from Tails' attack made it stumble back. It then pulled itself back together, and began to charge its laser again, but this time it swung its shield at the red echidna. Sonic, seeing the danger, dashed in and kicked Knuckles out of harm's way before narrowly dodging the shield himself. The robot's movements were quick and calculated, a testament to Eggman's upgrades. "Stay focused," Sonic yelled, now running circles around the E-2000, creating a vortex of air that disoriented the robot. "I know. No need to be so prickly about it," Knuckles retorted, leapt up in the air with a yell, and punched the robot back with his fists, causing it to be launched into the wall against its back. "Just making sure your head is not high up in the clouds this time, Knucklehead." Sonic smirked, teasing his red friend. Knuckles rolled his eyes. "Says you, and besides you weren't paying attention to his laser." His laser. Blast. Whoa. Sonic dodged out of the way from the incoming laser that the E-2000 shot back at him. Knuckles grinned slyly. "Now whose head is in the clouds this time?" Sonic frowned, he brushed the dust off his body. Yeah, laugh it up while you can, Chuckles. I thought we were way past the name-calling shtick." Knuckles yelled, feeling irritated. "I couldn't resist." Sonic shrugged. Eggman was watching the battle happening in the room. He grew tired of everyone not taking this fight seriously. "Enough games. E-2000, full power," he commanded. The E-2000's optics glowed as it activated its full power mode. Its shield expanded, creating an energy barrier that pushed Sonic back. The cannon began to charge again, this time with a more ominous red hue. "Everyone, get back," Tails warned, his instincts telling him this next blast would be catastrophic. While everyone was trying to brace themselves, Eggman went near towards his machine and was able to place in the last Chaos Emerald, which caused both the Chaos Emeralds and the ancient relic to be connected with each other's energy signatures with greater intensity than before. Eggman smiled menacingly while the battle was still going on inside the room. Boom. But before the cannon could fire, a small explosion erupted from the back of the E-2000. It was attacked from behind due to Amy's strength in swinging her hammer. "Did ya really forget about me?" Amy asked, as she attacked the E-2000. Pow! The E-2000 shoved back Amy with its shield, used its cannon to swing onto her body, causing her to get launched off and faceplanted onto the ground. She groaned in pain, but the robot kicked her off the ground and threw her into the wall. Ow! Amy cried out as she hit the wall hard, sliding down to the floor. "Amy!" Sonic yelled. Sonic dashed towards the E-2000, his speed creating a blue blur as he ran circles around the robot. The E-2000 tried to track him, but Sonic was too fast. He ran fast enough to create a small blue tornado that ensnared the badnik and made it lose its balance. With a swift spin attack, Sonic landed a powerful blow on the robot's side, causing it to falter. "Knuckles! I'm on it!" Whack! Knuckles took advantage of the opening. He charged in with a fierce battle cry, his fists glowing with energy. He delivered a series of rapid punches, each hit creating a shockwave that dented the E-2000's armor. The robot retaliated with a powerful swipe of its shield, but Knuckles blocked it with his own brute strength by blocking it with his fists, the clash creating a shockwave that blew them both back and cracked the ground beneath them. "Tails! Got your back, Knux!" Boom! Tails flew overhead, dropping a barrage of dummy ring bombs he created on his own. The explosions created a spectacular display of sparks, fire, and gold fake rings, further damaging the robot's systems. As the E-2000 tried to aim its cannon at Tails, he performed an aerial somersault, dodging the blasts with acrobatic grace. He then saw Amy, who was right behind him. She managed to get off the ground, shrugging off any pain that was inflicted on her. "Amy, I'm fine, I got this." Bam! Asterisk. Amy, recovering from the hit, swung her hammer with renewed determination. She leapt into the air, spinning rapidly to gain momentum, and brought her hammer down with a mighty crash on the E-2000's head. The impact created a shockwave that sent the robot reeling, sparks flying from its damaged circuits. Sonic seized the opportunity. He performed a homing attack, bouncing off the walls to gain speed and precision. He struck the E-2000 multiple times in rapid succession, each hit pushing the robot further back. The E-2000's movements became sluggish, its systems overloaded from the relentless assault. Eggman, watching the battle unfold, shouted in frustration, "E-2000, engage evasive maneuvers." The E-2000's optics glowed brighter, and its movements became more aggressive. It charged at Sonic with surprising speed, swinging its shield and cannon with deadly precision. Sonic narrowly dodged the attacks, the shockwaves from each swing creating craters in the ground. Knuckles jumped onto the E-2000's back, trying to rip off its armor. The robot thrashed wildly, trying to shake him off, but Knuckles held on with fierce determination. "Tails, now!" he shouted. Tails swooped in, using one of his dummy ring bombs to damage the E-2000's thrusters. The robot's movements became more erratic, its balance thrown off. Amy joined in, striking at the robot's legs with her hammer, further destabilizing it. BZZT BZZT BZZT. Boom. Sonic saw his chance. He gathered all his speed and launched himself at the E-2000 with a final, devastating spin-dash attack. He hit the robot's core with such force that it created a massive explosion, sending pieces of some of the E-2000's body flying in all directions. The E-2000 weakened, its systems failed, and finally collapsed to the ground in a heap of smoking metal. Sonic and his friends landed gracefully, panting but victorious. "You guys did it. I knew you could all do it." Cream yelled with relief. "Chow, chow, chow." Cheese cheered as well. Sonic gave her a thumbs up, while panting for air. "Anytime, Cream and Cheese, phew. I must be off my game or something. Didn't expect the E-2000 to give me one hell of a workout." "Amy, are you alright?" Tails asked, as he placed his hand on her shoulder. "Oh, don't worry about me, Tails," Amy assured. "He just caught me by surprise, that's all." Knuckles, still catching his breath, walked over to the defeated robot and gave it a good kick. "That was tougher than I thought it would be. Eggman's really been upping his game." "Speaking of, where's that egghead ran off to anyway?" Sonic asked, as he surveyed the room. Rumble. The room began to shake once more. This time the impact was a lot more intense than last time. The walls trembled, and bits of debris started to fall from the ceiling. Everyone looked around, trying to maintain their balance amidst the quaking. "What now?" Knuckles grumbled, clenching his fists, ready for another fight. Tails quickly checked his device, eyes widening. The energy readings are off the charts. Something big is happening. "What?" Amy exclaimed. "Where's Eggman? What in the world is he doing this time? Guys, look!" Cream yelled, gathering everyone's attention. She points at Eggman next to the machine that contains the Chaos Emeralds and the ancient relic. He grinned as he felt like he finally was able to gain the upper hand in the midst of the chaotic battle from before. The Chaos Emeralds were rapidly glowing with immense power along with the relic. The machine looks like it was barely able to contain itself from causing some sort of explosion. "It was a pleasure to witness your futile attempts to thwart me, but this time you're too late." Eggman gloated, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "It's time to say goodbye. You see, the true power of the Chaos Emeralds, combined with this ancient relic, will allow me to transport to another world where I can continue my conquests without interference." This caused Sonic and his entire team to look at him in shock and awe. They were left with more questions than answers at this point. They don't know what he has been doing during these past few months ever since their adventure at the Starfall Islands, but one thing for sure is that they need to stop him before it can get any more messy than it already is. "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Back the truck up, Eggman," Sonic said, trying to keep his cool despite the rising tension. "What do you mean by another world? And why are you so obsessed with this relic? And why are you using it along with the Chaos Emeralds?" Tails questioned. "Are they related in any way?" Eggman snickered. "I'm sorry, all questions will be answered in due time. Unfortunately, this is where we part ways, Sage. Initiate the teleportation sequence now." Suddenly, a bunch of computer monitors starts flashing red, almost as if someone or something has taken control and hacked into its systems by the response of Eggman's commands. "Yes, Father." A voice was calm and mechanical, echoing throughout the room. The ground shook even more violently, and the swirling vortex of energy grew larger and more intense. The Chaos Emeralds pulsed with power, and the ancient relic began to glow with an otherworldly light. "Guys, we have to stop him now," Knuckles shouted over the noise, his eyes widened with urgency. Sonic, Amy, Knuckles, and Tails rushed towards Eggman, but Metal Sonic blocked their path. They were about to ready themselves in a battle stance, but as the ground continued to erupt with violent tremors, the instability of the teleportation sequence caused large cracks to form beneath their feet. It made everyone fall down onto the floor. It's hopeless to resist. The teleportation has already been activated the moment you stepped into this room. Did you really think I didn't expect you to come so soon? I mean, why do you think I had E2000 to be here anyway? Eggman sneered, his voice triumphant over the mayhem. Tails widened his eyes in realization. It was just a distraction. He was just trying to delay us from powering up his machine. Then we gotta destroy it. Now, Amy yelled. Guys, you two try to distract Metal Sonic. Tails, come with me so we can figure out how to disable that machine, while I try to save Cream and Cheese. Sonic said with determination blazing in his eyes. Don't have to tell me twice. Knuckles said. He cracked his knuckles and tried to swing his fists at Metal Sonic, but upon hitting him, the badnik activated his black shield that covered his entire body in a gem-like bodyguard. Amy goes along with him and swings her hammer onto the robotic doppelganger, but it had no effect. Metal Sonic deactivated his black shield for a brief amount of time to grab hold of Knuckles and Amy. He spun them around and threw them both against the wall. They both cried out in pain, but they immediately got back up to hold their ground, as Metal Sonic activated his black shield once again. While that was happening, Sonic and Tails ran as fast as they could towards the machine. Tails took out his Miles Electric and began analyzing the data between the Chaos Emeralds and the ancient relic. I don't understand these kinds of readings, but this weird loop symbol from that tablet looks identical to the ones we saw back at the Starfall Islands. Tails said, his eyes darting between the screens. We don't have much time, buddy. Can you figure out a way to stop it? Sonic asked, his voice filled with urgency. Tails is furiously tapping rapidly on his device, trying to decipher the data. I think I can disrupt the energy flow if I can hack my way into the control panel. But that'll take some time. You go ahead and rescue Cream and Cheese. On it, Sonic dashed forward to the other side of the room where Cream and Cheese were being holed up inside the large glass container. Mr. Sonic, Cream said with hope, her eyes lighting up as she saw the blue blur approach. Hey there, didn't mean for that to be taken so long. Sonic said, giving her a reassuring smile. He inspected the glass container, looking for a way to break it open without harming Cream and Cheese. Hang tight, I'll get you out of here in no time. With his super speed, Sonic began revving himself up into a ball and struck the glass with enough force, causing it to shatter without harming the captives inside. Cream and Cheese jumped into Sonic's arms as the glass fell around them. Thank you, Mr. Sonic. Cream exclaimed, hugging him tightly. Cheese chimed in with happy chirps. No problem, kiddo. Let's get you out of here. Sonic replied, setting them down gently and turning back to the chaotic battlefield. Mr. Sonic, look over there. Cream gasped while pointing her index finger. Sonic looked behind him and what he saw caused him to look in shock. He saw Metal Sonic letting go of Tails and stopped his hacking process altogether. All three of his friends are already on the ground unconscious with a bit of bruises that were shown to be all over their bodies. Before Sonic had any time to react, a big bright white light began illuminating. They all covered their eyes with their arms, squinting really hard to see against the brightness. It turns out the machine from earlier was able to harness enough energy from the Chaos Emeralds and the ancient relic, causing it to reach critical levels to where it won't stay stable to contain the immense amounts of power that is currently filling the room with light. Perhaps it's time we bid our foes adieu, RWBY said to his cubicle companion. No time, we gotta get out of here. Cubot yelled with suspense in his voice. RWBY and Cubot stopped viewing the computer monitors and transformed their bodies into small portable forms of themselves, rolling away towards their master for safety against the travesty that is about to unfold. Eggman, this is crazy. You're really gonna teleport us into another world? Sonic exclaimed, still shielding his eyes. That is right, my nemesis. With the power of the ancients, along with the Chaos Emeralds, you and your worthless friends will never stand in my way. I will ascend above and beyond. Starting with the new world. Eggman declared. Mr. Sonic, I'm scared. What'll happen to us? Cream asked, filled with worry and fear. Chow, chow, Cheese said, who is also feeling the same way as his rabbit friend. Farewell, Sonic, my admirable adversary. Eggman bowed, while waving his hand. Sonic was out of options at this point. He knew that Eggman was a constant threat no matter how many times he had beaten him, but for some reason he managed to overthrow him and his team with ease. Not knowing any other way to get back to safety, he glanced at Cream and Cheese one last time, wanting to ensure their escape without getting into any more conflict in battle. He speaks to them without a second thought. Cream, Cheese, hang-o, boom. As the machine exploded, a massive shockwave radiated outwards, consuming everything in its path. Sonic, Cream, and Cheese were engulfed in a blinding white light. Their screams were lost in the deafening roar of the explosion. The entire base, hidden in the remote desert, was consumed by the blast, creating a spectacle that could be seen for miles. Sonic felt a sensation of weightlessness as the world around him dissolved into a sea of light. He reached out instinctively, trying to grasp onto something solid, but there was nothing but the overwhelming brightness. His thoughts were jumbled, filled with concern for his friends and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. He closed his eyes in pain and his mind slowly drifting away unconsciously, as if his body is just floating away to who knows where. The last thing he ever saw was Cream and Cheese, and with them disappearing along with his team, and his enemies. He may not know what he's gonna run into next, but the future may reveal that this little conundrum is the start of an adventure of a lifetime. Present. And then I woke up in the middle of the canyon, saw those Beowulfs grim, helped out RWBY and Church, and, here we are. Sonic said, gesture to the group he sees in front of him. Team RWBY, Reds, and Blues were all looking at him with a mix of awe and skepticism. The story Sonic had just recounted sounded almost too fantastical to believe, but the sincerity in his eyes and the strange circumstances surrounding his arrival left little room for was beamed with excitement. Weiss had a look of complexity, Blake didn't know what to make of that story, and Yang just thought it was a cool action-packed story. The Reds and Blues on the other hand were the opposite of Team RWBY's reactions. Sarge didn't believe a word of what the hedgehog was telling them. Simmons thought it was full of meaningless talk and nonsense. Griff was Griff, he obviously still didn't care for what's going on. Church was a bit annoyed after listening to Sonic's ridiculous story. Tucker didn't believe all of it but finds it enjoyable in a way. And Caboose found the story to be very entertaining, even if he didn't understand the more confusing parts of the story. Okay, seriously, what the fuck? Church said. That's the coolest story I had ever heard. RWBY said, giving her biggest smile. That's the most ridiculous story I had ever heard. Weiss stated firmly. That's, Blake said with a loss for words. Okay, now that's just plain awesome. Yang said, giving Sonic a thumbs up. So much science, and yet none of it makes any sense. Simmons exclaimed. I don't believe a single word out of that dirty blue hedgehog. Sarge retorted. Dude, for real. It seems legit in my book. Tucker said to Sarge. Especially the part where he and everyone else was teleported cause of the ancient relic and 7 magical rocks. Caboose added. Are we finally gonna get chili dogs now? Griff asked, not interested in anything that's going on. Sonic gave them an awkward look. Wow, those weren't the reactions I was expecting. Hey, where's the angry black one? The Reds and Blues took a step back and were aghast at Sonic's comment. The rest of Team RWBY, Sonic, including Caboose, were just looking at them in confusion, wondering what got them all so worked up. Wow dude, just wow. Griff said. Do you even know what you're saying? Simmons asked. I knew there was something wrong with you the moment you set our foot here. Sarge yelled. That's like wrong in 8 different ways. Church remarked. Sonic raised his eyebrow at the Reds and Blues. Was it something I said? Oh sure, feign ignorance so you can act like the innocent one, you racist. Tucker yelled with anger in his voice. Okay, can someone fill me in here? What got you guys acting so weird? Yang asked. Yeah, it's almost as if what he said offended you all or something. RWBY added. He said, where's the angry black one? How does any of you do not see the implications of that sentence? Church questioned. Caboose steps in. See Church, I don't think he meant that in, like a way that, would get you all to be mean about it. Shut up Caboose, it's not like you would understand anyway. Tucker retorted. Wait, are you guys saying he was being racist? Blake asked. Yeah, what about it? Simmons said. Sonic shook his head, dumbfounded by their ignorance. I meant Tex, you know, she's literally the only black-colored person because of her armor. You do realize everyone out here is color-coordinated, right? Sonic said, as he gestured to everyone in the room. The room fell silent for a moment as Sonic's explanation hung in the air. The reds and blues exchanged glances, and the tension began to dissipate as understanding dawned on them. Church face palms after realizing just how much stupidity he displayed in front of everyone. Oh, Ruby said, who finally understood what he was talking about. You meant Tex. Ow, I felt like a fucking dumbass right now. Church groaned. Well, why didn't you just say that from the beginning? Tucker added, trying to cover his embarrassment. Weiss pinched the bridge of her nose. I should have known it was something like that. Blake gave a small nod. Makes sense now. Phew, thought it was something else for a second. Simmons felt relieved. Sarge cleared his throat. Ahem, well, alright then. But I'm still not sure I trust ya, Hedgehog. Griff sighs. Just give up already. Yong chuckled, shaking her head. Well, that was almost a disaster. Sonic's sweats dropped at them all, sulking with his arms down. You guys sure are a strange bunch, I can tell, so yeah, Tex was the one I was talking about. I thought she would still be here after how serious she was wanting to know more about me and everything else. Yeah, Sonic, she literally left the moment you mentioned that your enemy was a mad scientist called Dr. Eggman, and honestly I don't blame her. Church remarked, crossing his arms with a sigh. Sonic blinked in surprise. She left because of that. I mean, come on, Dr. Eggman is a pretty big deal where I come from. Weiss rolled her eyes. It's just, your world sounds so bizarre. Blake shrugged. Well, we do fight creatures made of dark matter and skeletal remains, so it's not that much of a stretch. Yeah, and we've dealt with AI possessing our bodies, aliens, and a bunch of other crazy stuff. Tucker added. With a name like Eggman, it doesn't exactly scream fear into the hearts of many, ya know. Sarge gave a reluctant nod. Maybe your Eggman fella ain't so bad. I mean, compared to some of the stuff we've faced, he sounds downright manageable. Manageable. Really. Especially the part where he made killer robots powerful enough to eviscerate anyone. Church said unamused. Unlike you Blue, us Reds are capable of handling any type of robot we come across our way. Sarge stated with confidence. Griff scoffed. Said the guy who can't make one to speak proper English. Sonic snickered. Alright, fair enough. But seriously, I mean it when I say that Eggman is someone you don't want to mess with. Guy got a few screws loose when it comes to world domination and making armies of robots to do all the dirty work for him. Well, if he's as bad as you say, then it's a good thing we've got you here, Sonic. Yong said, her eyes glinting with a mix of excitement and challenge. Ruby nodded vigorously. Yeah, we can totally help you take him down if he shows up. Team RWBY is always ready for a new adventure. Provided we all stick together and not get sidetracked by other misunderstandings. Weiss added, shooting a glance at the Reds and Blues. Alright, Hedgehog. If ya say this Dr. Eggman is a threat, then we'll take her word for it. But remember, I'm doing this for me and my team, not for you. I'm sure I can fry that sucker with my shotgun. Sunny side up style. Sarge said, while gripping his trusted weapon tightly. Yeah, stick together, blah blah, Griff said, waving his hand dismissively. Can we get back to the part where we might get some chili dogs soon? Hold on. Church interrupts everybody. You mentioned that this guy, Dr. Eggman, you said he managed to teleport himself and all of your team with some magical rocks called Chaos Emeralds. What the hell is up with that? You also mentioned that there was a robotic doppelganger of yourself called Metal Sonic. You said that he was purposely designed to be better than you, how was that even possible? Simmons asked. Sonic nodded. Yeah, the Chaos Emeralds are these incredibly powerful gems that can warp time and space. Eggman's used them for all sorts of crazy schemes. And Metal Sonic, well, he's Eggman's attempt to create a faster, stronger, and more ruthless version of me. He's no joke. Hearing all of this intrigues Simmons. I'm sorry, did you just say warp through time and space? Simmons exclaimed, getting a little excited. What is he doing? Yang asked Griff. Griff sighs. I know where this is going, you best knock yourself out before it's too late. Blake raised her eyebrow. Wait, what do you mean by that? I fucking knew it. Simmons shouted at the top of his lungs, startling everyone in the room they're in. His voice echoed in joy, as if he had discovered something revolutionary that could change their lives forever. He began to ramble his thoughts out loud without noticing that everyone is listening to him right now. All this time, I didn't think it was even remotely possible. Now we know there's a way to warp things from reality with the use of space and time. And it could be done with just some magical gemstones. No wonder we were able to use our teleporter so fluently. Granted, it did explode with that 5% margin of error and brought the Grimm here to kill us all, but fuck it. Science is goddamn amazing. Imagine what we could achieve if we harness that power. We could teleport anywhere, anytime, defeat our enemies before they even knew what hit them. The possibilities are endless. We could even... Simmons. What? Simmons said. No one, ever care, for what you have to say, at all, Church replied as he gestured to RWBY sleeping while standing up, and Griff lazily sleeping on the floor. Weiss and Sarge noticed this. She flicks RWBY on the nose, which made her wake up instantly, while the red team's leader kicked his insubordinate partner on his side, causing him to groan in pain. Simmons sniffled at Church's remark. You guys are mean. Weiss shook her head at their antics. Anyway, you said something about Chaos Emeralds, how they're some sort of magical gemstones in different colors. Sonic nodded. Yeah, those emeralds are pretty risky if they're in the wrong hands. Just one emerald alone is enough to cause some serious damage, but all 7 together, well, let's just say it's a good thing they're scattered. Eggman's always been after them to fuel his crazy inventions and schemes. Wait, they're called emeralds, but they're in different colors? Tucker questioned. That's a load of bull if you ask me. Why is that? Sonic asked. Well, what do you call the ones that aren't green then? Tucker remarked. Sonic scratched his head. Look, I don't know much about their origins, we still call them Chaos Emeralds because that's the name they've always had. Names aside, do you have a way to track down these emeralds? Because if what you said is true, then we may have more than just the Grimm to worry about. RWBY points out. Sonic thought for a moment, until he suddenly got an idea. I know just the thing. He pulls out some sort of rectangular device with a screen, a small antenna on top, and a pair of orange tails symbol designed on the back of it. What is that thing? Yang asked. Oh, this is an emerald locator device my buddy Tails managed to create for me and my pals. The Chaos Emeralds are like magnets, we can pinpoint their exact location based on their energy waves. Or at least that's what he said to me anyway. Sonic explained. Great, a magical gemstone detector. Church muttered. Why does it feel like we're in a cartoon? Because we practically are. Griff replied. Chala. Head Chala. Caboose yelled out of nowhere. RWBY's eyes sparkled with excitement as she looked at the radar. This is so cool. Let's get started right away. Wait, Weiss said, raising a hand. We need a plan. We can't just run off blindly. Sonic, how does this radar work, and how far can it detect the emeralds? Sonic pressed a button on the device, and the screen lit up with a digital map. It works by scanning for the Chaos Emeralds' energy. The range isn't infinite, but it can cover a large area. Beep asterisk beep asterisk beep. Speak of the devil. As soon as Sonic turned on his radar device, it began emitting strange noises. He tried to use the radar around the area to find the location of the emerald. He held the device and waved it around. Sonic struggles to know where the emerald is located as the beeping continues to fluctuate. He was then surprised when the beeping started to get louder, and what he found was unexpected to say the least. It turns out the radar was picking up a strong signal which just so happens to be pointing at RWBY Rose in front of him. This caught almost everyone by surprise. RWBY looked at Sonic, then down at herself, utterly confused. Sonic. Is everything okay? RWBY asked. Sonic raised his eyebrow. RWBY, why is my radar picking up a signal onto you? What do you mean? RWBY replied. Well, you see RWBY. He said that he has a radar for finding Chaos Emeralds, and since it's having a strong reaction to you, do you see where I'm getting at? Simmons explained the best he could. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Tucker added. Ruby looked down at herself, still confused. Until she has a moment of realization of what they meant. Oh, duh. Almost forgotten about this. She removed something out of her pocket and pulled out a small, smooth gemstone, deep red in color, glowing softly in her hand. Everyone stared at it in astonishment. What the? You swiped the emerald from the teleporter. Church exclaimed. Why would you do that? Simmons' voice cracked, feeling a little startled. Yeah, what's the problem? Ruby asked. The same teleporter that put us in this position in the first place. After the goddamn Grim infestation, we have in our hands. Church answered in a rude manner. Normally I don't agree with the blue bastard, but Lil, Red. Be smart about this. Sarge said, his tone was more serious than usual. I reckon we don't mess with that rock thing unless we know exactly what we're doing. Like that ever happens around here. Griff said sarcastically. I agree. Ruby, do you have any idea what you're doing after what happened recently? We don't even know what it can fully do, and at worst it can put us all in danger again. Weiss added. Ruby looked around at everyone's reactions, a bit taken aback by the intensity. Well, I didn't know it would cause this much trouble. I just thought, it would help us get back home, somehow. Blake sighs. Ruby, it was the book that brought us here, not the emerald. Book. Sonic said. Yes, see, we were never brought here by your Chaos Emeralds being used with an ancient relic. Yang corrected. My sister opened a book we were told to bring back on one of our missions, and since then, we've been stuck here in a place we never heard of before. Never heard of before? You mean Blood Gulch? Church said. I certainly have no knowledge about a place like that in Vale, or any of the other kingdoms in the entirety of Remnant. Blake replied. Remnant? What the hell's a remnant? Sounds gross, Griff gagged with disgust. The name of our world. Literally everyone knows about this, don't you? Yang asked. Dude, are you talking about the planet? Why would you name the Earth, Remnant, of all names? That's dumb, Tucker commented. Weiss perked her head, not liking where this was going. Wait, did you just say Earth? And not Remnant? Yeah, that's what we call our planet. What else would we call it? Tucker shrugged. Weiss turns to face her partner. Ruby, Sonic said he's not from around here. Right. He did mention it. I thought it was weird that we were talking to some sort of alien at first, but seeing him in action was pretty cool. Ruby's eyes sparkled as she pumped her fist in the air. Along with the story of taking down Eggman and his robots, it's like a comic book come to life in a way. Weiss shook her head. But that's the thing, Ruby, we know next to nothing about him. And yet, he said that he's from another world due to being teleported to a place he never heard of. Ooh, I know exactly where this is going. Simmons stated. What, why? I don't get it. Griff said. Something tells me Lil Red ain't gonna enjoy this one bit. Sarge added. Are you following? If he said that he was teleported to this place, and we also did the same thing, but with a book. In a location where they don't know Beacon, Vale, or even Remnant in general. Weiss continues. Weiss, what are you trying to say? Blake asked. Yang scratched her head, not knowing what's going on. You're kinda losing me here. Weiss, are you saying that? I'm afraid so, Ruby. Can someone explain all this weird string of dialogue to me? Because I feel really confused for some reason. Caboose said. Ruby widens her eyes in shock after she finally discovered her answer. She didn't want to believe it at first, but with everything that happened today, and with Sonic's story having some sort of connection to their problem, it is very evident that she and her team are now in a situation she's worried they can never crawl out of easily. She turns to face everyone. Guys, I don't think we're on Remnant anymore. There was a long brief of silence that hung in the air as everyone processed what Ruby had just said. Some of the Reds and Blues were able to realize that Team RWBY weren't from around here, but from a different world was entirely out of the question. Blake and Yang were staring at Ruby with wide eyes. They didn't expect a bizarre answer out of Ruby, which further signifies an even bigger problem than before, creating a shift in the gravity of their situation. What? Guys, are you saying we're not in our own world anymore? Yang exclaimed, being upset and confused at the same time. Ooh, I guess the same thing happened with you and your friends, huh? Sonic said. I know this sounds insane, borderline asinine, but this is one of conclusions I can come up with. If RWBY opened that book that blinded us with that light, which also caused us to get ourselves wrapped up in an unknown location, what are the chances that it was the book that managed to teleport us all to another planet? Weiss questioned, thinking about the possibility of their outcome. Blake raised her eyebrow at Weiss' explanation. That's, I suppose, a logical standpoint, but Weiss, Sonic explained that he was teleported due to 7 Chaos Emeralds messing with an ancient relic. Are you saying that the book has something to do with all this as well? Weiss shook her head. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going off basic assumptions, but from what I can tell, going back to Beacon Academy, Vale, or any of the kingdoms is going to be a lot tougher than it looks. Ahem. Asterisk. There was a loud cough out of nowhere. After hearing it, they all turned towards where it was coming from. They looked to see Simmons with a fist raised near his mouth, as if he's going to explain something important to them. Look, I know you're all dealing with a lot to unpackage, call me crazy, but ever heard of something called the multiverse theory? Simmons asked. A multi-what now? RWBY tilted her head in confusion. Multiverse theory, RWBY, Simmons said with a hint of excitement. It's the idea that there are infinite versions of reality, parallel universes, alternate dimensions, different timelines. You know, like how there's a universe where Griff actually does his job. Hey, Griff shouted, glaring at Simmons. But seriously, Simmons continued, ignoring the interruption. It could explain why you're all here. If you were using the book that was able to teleport you all, along with the addition of Sonic and his friends who got zapped here with the Chaos Emeralds, we might be dealing with 2 worlds overlapping. Or maybe more. RWBY blinked. Wait, so, are you saying we're in another world altogether because of the book? Simmons nodded. Exactly. You see, since the Chaos Emeralds can distort space-time, and if you mix that with whatever your book was doing, it could have caused a rift in reality. Sonic crossed his arms. Multiverse, huh, I've been through a few weird adventures, but this sounds new. Blake frowned, arms crossed. That would explain why none of this feels familiar. Even the scenery around here, it's different from what we have in Remnant. Wait a minute, Yang shouted, cutting through the tension. Are you telling me we're trapped in some interdimensional mess because of the book and some shiny rocks? Sounds about right, Tucker said casually, leaning against a wall. Okay, cool, just wanted to confirm how insane our situation is. Yang replied, exasperated. Church puts his hand onto his helmet, reeling in the new information he just heard. Okay, slow down. So, you're saying not only do we have to deal with those Grimm lounging around the canyon, but now we've got world-hopping kids and super fast blue hedgehogs that are now a thing all of a sudden. Weiss sighed. This complicates things more than I imagined. If we're stuck in another world, that means getting back home will require more than just making a teleporter. Sarge steps forward. You know what? After hearing all of this science-y mumbo-jumbo and whatnot, I've decided the most comprehensible conclusion that'll surely never bring down anyone in this here room. Blue, this is entirely all your fault. He exclaimed, pointing his index finger at them. Our fault. Church yelled. We weren't the ones who decided to make a teleporter that brings in demonic hell's pawns to bite our asses. Ah, what do you know, ya blue bastards? Ya just saying that 'cause you're insecure. I've seen y'all scared out of your britches after facing those Grimm. Sarge retorted. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Tucker interrupted, throwing his hands up in frustration. We weren't the ones who built the damn teleporter. We were just minding our own business, and suddenly there's monsters with bone masks trying to eat us. How is that our fault? Sarge crossed his arms, stubborn as ever. Oh please, it's always the blues with their fancy tech nonsense, meddling with things they don't understand. If you haven't formed an alliance with us and just died at the hands of the Red Team Army, none of this would have happened in the first place. Church groaned. Sarge, for the last time, we didn't do anything. We're just as stuck in this mess as you. That's it. I'll put the blame on whoever's next to me and or in my line of sight. Sarge declared, his eyes darting towards RWBY and her team. Weiss groaned. Are you seriously blaming us now? Sarge shook his head. Nah, I would never do that to Lil Red or her team. She got what it takes to become a leader. especially after diving into the bloodbath when exterminating her enemies. Simmons was unsure of Sarge's statement. But sir, I thought it was clear that RWBY and her team used the book that brought them here, and if the Grimm is from their world, doesn't that mean it's also their fault that the Grimm is out here trying to kill us in the first place? Simmons, one more word out of you and you're banned from talking about trigonometry ever again. Sarge said firmly. Why yes sir. Sorry for ever doubting you sir. Simmons said profusely. Kiss ass, Griff muttered. The members of RWBY awkwardly stared at the Reds and Blues bickering. They don't really have much to say other than what they're talking to each other is unimportant and has no connection to their problem at hand. Should we do something? They're arguing quite a lot. Young asked. Blake crossed her arms. I don't think that's a good idea right now. They're not mentally stable for a bunch of soldiers. Weiss glanced at her team. I honestly don't know what's worse, the fact we're stuck with no way out of here, or the fact we're stuck with the dumbest groups of dolts I've ever interacted with in my life. New thoughts began forming around Ruby's head. Why are we here? What'll happen to us eventually? Was it my fault that we're here in the first place? How did we get sent to another world? Did the book caused all of this to happen, or did the Chaos Emeralds did? What is even going on anymore? She felt unsure what to do next. This awkward state of mind put her in turmoil. Sonic gave her a sympathetic look. He's not sure about what's going on right now, but what he does know is that he's willing to help them out. Hey, RWBY. Take it from me who knows when it comes to being in weird storybook adventures from time to time. I may not know exactly what happened to you or your team, or how you're all brought here in the first place, but how about for now we both work together? So, we can find a way for all of us to go home. Sounds like a plan, Sonic suggested, trying his best to console her. RWBY looked up at Sonic, her silver eyes filled with uncertainty. His words, though simple, brought a glimmer of hope. She had been caught up in her own thoughts, spiraling with guilt and confusion about the situation. But Sonic's relaxed confidence was like a calming breeze in a storm. She gave him a small, grateful smile. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan. I mean, if anyone can help us figure this out, it's gotta be someone with experience in, well, Chaos Emeralds, right? Sonic chuckled, scratching the back of his head. You'd be surprised just how often we usually go on those types of missions, hey. Besides, you're not in this alone. We've got all these weirdos on our side. He gestured to the Reds and Blues, who were arguing about something in the background, as usual. RWBY glanced at her teammates, each looking back at her with a mix of concern and determination. Young gave her a reassuring nod. Blake's quiet confidence was a steady anchor, and Weiss, despite her usual stoic demeanor, looked ready to support her. RWBY knew that they were in this together, no matter how bizarre or dangerous it got. Thanks, Sonic, RWBY said, her resolve strengthening. I don't know how we got into this mess, but we're getting out of it. Together. Sonic gave her a thumbs up. Now that's the spirit. Wait, hold on, halt, beep beep. Everyone stopped what they were doing and turned to face whoever was the one who was making a bunch of strange random noises. And the moment they laid eyes on that person, it turned out to be none other than Caboose. I just thought of the thing that confuses me from your story a little while ago, Caboose said in an unsure manner. Church sighed. Caboose, I doubt it has any relevancy to our situation. I'm pretty sure the next set of words that comes out of his mouth is enough to make me want to kill myself. Sonic was taken aback by Church's harshness. Geez, much of a downer, are you? I'm sure it's not gonna be anything too bad. Alright Caboose, what do you want to know? Yes, you see, how do you know the parts you weren't there for? Caboose asked. There was a long period of silence emanating in the room. Everyone didn't know what to say after hearing Caboose's surprisingly well thought out question that not even they noticed. They all slowly stared at Sonic, awkwardly waiting for his response. He too did not have anything to say on hand, so he tried his best to answer his question. Haha, funny story actually. Boom. An exploding noise has begun to take place outside while startling everyone inside the entire blue base. The ground shook slightly, and dust fell from the ceiling as everyone instinctively took cover. What the fuck was that? Griff exclaimed. How the hell should I know? Church replied. It sounded like it came from outside. Blake covering her head. Hey! The red team, blue team, RWBY, and Sonic, saw Tex running back inside the base as she burst through the door. She may be wearing a helmet, but they could tell that her body language is showing a grim expression, along with her entire armor being covered in dust, which might be a likely result of the explosion occurring outside. As much as I love to avoid listening to this brain-dead conversation, we've got bigger fish to fry out here. Tex yelled with urgency. Tex, what happened to you? The hell is going on out there? Church exclaimed, feeling worried for what's to come. Tex straightens herself and brushes off the dust from her armor with her hands. It's the Grim Church, apparently there's still more of them out there, take a look for yourself. Everyone stepped outside of the blue base, and what they discovered wasn't a pretty sight. They were startled to see a massive horde of different types of Grim that surrounded the entire area in their boxed canyon. There were at least a dozen Beowulfs, 7 Borbatusks, an Alpha Beowulf, and 3 Ursas. The Grim were far away, the savage animals were near the other end of the canyon, which just so happens to be where the red base is at. The Reds and Blues were shocked to see the monstrous creatures slowly advancing on their territory, while Team RWBY brought out their weapons in preparation for the upcoming battle that is about to unfold, along with Sonic, who looks ready to speed off into them. Oh boy, I always wanted to visit a zoo. Caboose said with excitement. Okay, it's official, I fucking hate your world. Church emphasizes with irritation. Holy shit. THTH, there's no way we can take them all on. There's so many of them. Simmons stuttered, as his voice cracked with fear. I thought you said you already took care of all of them, Sonic. Sonic scratches his head awkwardly. Yeah, okay, so I might have missed a few. Maybe they were hiding in some caves or something. A few. Simmons exclaimed. I'm pretty sure 23 Grim is a lot more than just a few. How the ever-living fuck are we going to survive against them? Griff, as usual, was the first to voice his desire to avoid confrontation. Well, I vote we let them have the canyon. I mean, it's not that great of a place anyway, right? Are you out of your mind? Sarge bellowed, already charging up his shotgun. We're not letting some oversized animals take our base. This is our home, and we defend it like true soldiers. Yeah, fucking right. Have you seen the size of their teeth? We won't even last 2 seconds out there. I'm a lover, not a soldier, Tucker exclaimed, not wanting to fight the Grim. That explains a lot, Blake mumbled. Young smirked, cracking her knuckles. Don't worry. We've handled bigger problems before. These guys, they're nothing we can't smash into pieces. Weiss, always the strategist, nodded. But we can't just rush in. We need to take them down efficiently, or we'll be overwhelmed. Tails. Huh. Everyone heard Sonic shout next to them. They didn't understand why, but what they saw caught their attention, which explains everything. Apparently, the group of Beowulfs looks like they're circling around an unconscious being, and it just so happens to be Sonic's partner Tails, like how he described him when he told them his story earlier. Sonic's eyes widened in horror as he spotted Tails, lying unconscious in the midst of the circling Beowulfs. His usual calm demeanor vanished, replaced with raw panic. You guys go on without me. I gotta go rescue my buddy before he's dead meat. Without a second thought, Sonic blasted forward, a blue streak heading straight for the pack of Grims surrounding his best friend. Sonic, wait! RWBY shouted, reaching out for him, but Sonic was already gone. Blake puts her hand on her shoulder. RWBY, we can't go after him yet. We need to plan ahead. She's right, Weiss added. I hate to say it, but we're going to have to look after the Reds and Blues, they won't survive on their own. RWBY glanced at the red and blue teams, she thought for a moment and managed to conjure up an idea. Alright, here what we're going to do. Me and Church will go after Sonic to help him save his friend from the Beowulfs. Weiss, you, Tucker, and Caboose will try to take out the Borbatusks. Blake, you team up with Sarge and Tex to go after the Alpha Beowulf and bring it down. Young, you go with Simmons and Griff to get rid of the Ursas. Did everybody get that? Who decided to make you the leader? Because I'm not really that confident in placing my trust in a teenager. Tex said, not really liking the plan. Yeah, no offense RWBY, but in case you haven't noticed. We suck ass when it comes to fighting. Tucker pointed out. Oh gee, who would have guessed a bunch of idiots who stand around and talk all day are terrible when it comes to being soldiers. Weiss stated sarcastically. Up yours, Ice Queen. Griff replied. Ruby sighed, her silver eyes narrowing in determination. Look, I get it. You're not soldiers or fighters. But we don't have a choice. If we don't work together, those Grimm will tear us apart. Look on the bright side, Church. At least when we die from battle, we all get to die together. Yang joked. Okay, that's not even a joke, that's just depressing as fuck, Simmons commented, feeling a bit uncomfortable towards Yang's joke. Church crossed his arms, giving Ruby a skeptical glance. Well, at least you're upfront about our chances. Fine, I'll tag along and help Sonic, but if this goes sideways, I'm blaming you. Tex glanced at the oncoming Grimm, then at Ruby, her calculating mind weighing the options. Fine, if we're going to fight, we might as well have a plan. I'll follow your lead, just don't expect me to hold your hand. Don't worry, I'm not that kind of leader. Ruby said with a smirk. You should really put more faith in Lil Red here. She's doing a lot as a leader, more than I can say for you Blue. Sarge remarked. Whatever. Ruby, just take me in the direction where Sonic went, so we can get over with this quickly. Church demanded. On it, Ruby said. Swoosh. She utilizes her semblance and burst into a bunch of rose petals as she quickly boosted her way into the distance. Church on the other hand was startled by this, and tried to keep up with her, even if she was faster than him by a mile. Hey, slow the fuck down, I can't keep up with you, Church stated, as he continued to run after her. The remaining teams were left standing, watching as Ruby and Church quickly disappeared into the distance. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Weiss clapped her hands, snapping everyone else back to focus. You know the plan, stick to it, and we'll survive this. Yeah, Tucker grumbled. You know you don't always need to have a stick up your. I don't need the commentary, just shut up and fight. Weiss interrupted, grabbing out her rapier with grace. I shall fight the evil pigs with honor, your highness. We will not tolerate the horrible acts they committed in our kingdom. No matter how cute and fluffy they are. Caboose yelled, oblivious as always. Tucker was taken aback from Caboose's strange behavior. Caboose, are you doing some kind of heroic speech right now? We shan't let these animals from poisoning our water supply, burn our crops, and deliver a plague onto our houses. Weiss blinked in confusion. Caboose, none of the Grimm were doing any of the. For glory. For honor. Cha-rrrrrge. Caboose started to run while yelling out his battle cry off in the far distance where he's charging into the giant crowd of Grimm. Weiss and Tucker stared at him blankly, because there's just one problem that he hasn't noticed yet. He's running off in the opposite direction, Tucker added. Weiss sighed. Come on, let's go get him before he gets himself killed. Ow, fuck berries, Tucker groaned. As Weiss and Tucker hurried off to fetch Caboose, Sarge, Tex, and Blake are having a conversation of their own before going to fight the Alpha Grimm. Alright, people, listen up. Sarge barked, gripping his shotgun tightly. We've got a big ol' wolf to bring down, and I reckon it won't go down easy. But with my leadership and Tex's unholy aggression, we'll be just fine. Blake, calm and focused, scanned the battlefield. This Alpha won't be like your average Beowulf. We need to find a weak point, or it'll tear through us. Tex twirled one of her pistols, nonchalant as ever. Just point me in the right direction. Weak points or not, I'll make sure it doesn't get back up. That's the spirit. Sarge grinned underneath his helmet, clearly relishing the idea of a tough fight. Now, I'll charge in headfirst like a true soldier, and you two back me up. I'll get its attention, and then we hit it with everything we've got. Blake raised an eyebrow. Or we could approach it strategically, keep our distance, and use our ranged attacks first. It's smarter than rushing in blind. Tex smirked. I like her plan better, Sarge. We get to keep our limbs that way. Sarge huffed, a bit deflated. Fine, we'll do it your way, but I still want the glory shot. Blake gave a small smile, adjusting Gamble shroud in preparation. Let's stay focused. One wrong move, and that thing will tear through us. Sarge, you take the left. Tex and I will flank from the right. Got it. Tex nodded in agreement. Sarge cocked his shotgun with an excited gleam in his eye. Let's show this oversized mutt what happens when you mess with the red team. Or, you know, people in general, Blake said with a dry tone. With their plans set, the trio began moving toward the Alpha Beowulf. While that was happening, all there is left are Yang, Griff, and Simmons. The two remaining soldiers of the red team are talking to the blonde member of Team RWBY. "You guys ready to get your hands dirty?" Yang asked, as she cracked her knuckles. "No, not really," Griff replied, already looking for an excuse to avoid the fight. "Why do we have to fight anyway? Can't we just stay in the blue base and let the rest of them kill them all?" Simmons, sweating bullets under his armor, tried to sound confident. "We've got this, right? I mean, there's only 3 of them, and we're, 3 too." Yang raised an eyebrow at Griff's lack of enthusiasm and Simmons' shaky attempt at confidence. "Come on, guys. It's just 3 Ursas. We've got this in the bag." Griff groaned. "Yeah, but why do we have to be the ones to deal with them? Can't you just punch them all while we stay back here and supervise or something?" Yang scoffed but kept her usual playful grin. "Where's the fun in that? Besides, I need someone to keep me company while I smash these guys. It'll be like bonding." "Bonding? We're about to get killed," Simmons exclaimed, looking nervously at the Ursas who were near the red base. The monstrous Grimm are massive, their dark fur bristling, and their bone-plated masks gleamed menacingly in the light. They lumbered closer, their growls deep and resonating through the canyon. Griff sighed dramatically. "Wonderful, first, we almost died from an explosion, then almost died from a bear, and now we get to die from 3 bears. Next, you'll tell me a horde of bats and a giant snake are here to end our misery and suffering." Yang cracked her knuckles again, her ember silica gauntlets clicking into place as she grinned. "Well, if you guys don't want to fight, you can always be bait." "Bait?" Simmons exclaimed. "Just kidding." Yang winked. "Sort of." Griff slumped even lower, clearly not thrilled with the situation. "Fine, let's just get this over with. Oh, and if I die, make my tombstone bigger than Simmons." "Hey!" Simmons yelled. Yang chuckled at Griff and Simmons' banter, clearly enjoying their reluctance to dive into battle. "Don't worry, I'll make sure you both survive, probably. You're really great at making me not feel confident at all," Simmons states the obvious. "Okay, here's the plan," Yang said with a confident smirk. "I'm gonna charge in, get their attention, and you guys provide cover fire. Try to slow them down by aiming at their joints. I'll handle all of the heavy lifting." Griff groaned again, facepalming on his helmet. "Oh yeah, sure, because aiming at the joints of giant murderous bears is so much easier than just staying alive." Simmons swallowed nervously. "Yeah, this plan sounds solid. Totally not terrifying at all." Yang rolled her eyes. "Will you guys just grow a pair and follow my lead already? We can't let the Grimm roam around here forever." "Fine, you punch the giant scary death bears, and we'll just stand here and not get eaten," Griff replied hazily. Simmons, trying to regain some composure, readied his rifle. "We've got this. Just stick to the plan, and we won't die horribly." "That's what I like to hear. Now come on. Let's stop the Grimm before we're Ursa Chow," Yang said, as she hurried to the direction where the Grimm are at. Griff sighed. "What are the chances one of us get eaten?" "Based on my calculations, for me, I'd say 65% if I'm able to keep a safe distance." "And what about me?" Griff asked. "You? I'd say 30, 20, 10% chance you'll survive," Simmons stated. "What? Why the fuck am I more likely to die than you? How'd you even came up with that conclusion?" Griff exclaimed in frustration. "Well, you see, I'm more reliable to handle any task with efficiency because Sarge actually respects me for getting real work done. Unlike a certain lazy, yellow-armored soldier who's more interested in avoiding work than doing it." Simmons continued, with an air of smugness. "You totally said that on purpose, didn't you?" Griff said. It's not like anyone cared enough to notice." Simmons shrugged. "Ow, goddammit," Griff grumbled. "Wait, what about Yang?" 100%. Simmons replied instantly. "Are you kidding me?" Griff yelled. Yang, overhearing their bickering, chuckled as she glanced over her shoulder while still jogging ahead. "Hey, guys, you might want to save the argument for after we're not in the middle of a Grimm-infested canyon. Just saying." "Well, you know the drill, Griff," Simmons said. "Let's just get this shit over with," Griff muttered, as the duo tried to catch up with their blonde partner. Sonic was running as fast as he could to arrive at the Grimm's location. He stopped once he was able to see Tails' unconscious body that was nearby them. They stopped what they were doing and snarled at the blue hedgehog. The Beowulfs began to slowly circle Sonic, their glowing red eyes locked onto him as they growled menacingly. Sonic's eyes narrowed as he sized up the situation. Tails lay motionless a few feet away, surrounded by the pack of Grimm. "Hey uglies. I got your meal right here," Sonic yelled, trying to attract their attention. Roar. Asterisk. One of the Beowulfs lunged at Sonic with a ferocious roar, but Sonic was too fast. He effortlessly dodged out of the way, spinning into a roundhouse kick that connected with the creature's head, sending it crashing to the ground. The other Beowulfs growled in response, their glowing red eyes narrowing as they began to close in on him. Sonic stood his ground, his eyes flicking to Tails every few seconds. He knew he had to take out these Grimm fast if he wanted to save his friend. "Come on, is that all you've got?" Sonic taunted, ready for the next attack. He jumped into the air, curling into his signature spindish form. With a sharp whirring sound, he launched himself into the pack of Beowulfs like a blue buzzsaw. The force of his attack sent several of the creatures flying backward, crashing into the ground with thudding impacts. As Sonic landed gracefully, he immediately spun around, keeping his eyes on the remaining Grimm. They hesitated for a moment, growling in frustration as they tried to regroup, but Sonic wasn't going to give them the chance. "What? Giving up already? Man, this is gonna be a piece of..." Swoosh. Whoa. Sonic leapt out of the way of one of the Beowulfs swiping their claws at him. They started to get even more angry than usual. Their aggressiveness intensified as the Beowulfs circled in closer, their snarls growing louder. Sonic dodged another swipe just in time, feeling the rush of air from the Grimm's massive claws as they barely missed him. "Alright, time to get serious," Sonic muttered under his breath. In response, one of the Beowulfs began to run at him at rapid speed. It opened its massive jaws, ready to clamp down on him, but then something unexpected happened. Bang! Asterisk. The Beowulf's charge came to a sudden halt as a gunshot rang out, and its massive body collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Sonic blinked in surprise and quickly turned his head to see RWBY standing a few feet away, crescent rose in hand, smoke rising from its barrel. "Need a hand, Sonic," RWBY called out with a grin, twirling her scythe before taking aim at another Beowulf. "RWBY!" Sonic exclaimed in relief, but quickly regained his focus. "Glad you made it. But don't think I'll let you steal all the fun." Fun. They both turned around to see Church, who was struggling to catch up to them. He seems to be out of breath, looking somewhat irritated and angry. "You think fighting these Grimm is fun?" Church wheezed, finally catching up to Sonic and RWBY, doubling over to catch his breath. "You two are insane." Sonic smirked. "Come on, Church. A little action never hurts anyone." "Well, except maybe the Grimm." RWBY giggled. "Yeah. Besides, you're just mad cause you weren't fast enough to join in." Church glared at the two of them. "No, I'm mad because you decided to run off without letting me catch up to you. It's bad enough we gotta deal with the Grimm, but now I gotta worry about you two speedsters every 5 seconds." RWBY shrugged innocently, her red cloak billowing in the breeze. "Well, we had to act fast. The Grimm were about to get Tails, and you were too far behind. Look Church, you can file a complaint later. Right now, we gotta save my buddy from those hordes of Grimm." "So, are you with me here?" Sonic asked, as he's prepared to fight alongside RWBY. Church looked at the upcoming groups of Grimm. There was about 9 Beowulfs left thanks to Sonic and RWBY killing a few of them earlier. He gazed back at Sonic and let out a frustrated sigh, gripping his weapon a little tighter. "Alright, fine," Church muttered, eyeing Sonic and RWBY. "Fair warning, I might miss a few shots." RWBY raised her eyebrow. "A few? Do you want me to fight or not?" Church asked hazily. Roar. Asterisk. "Here they come," Sonic yelled, gaining their attention. As the Beowulfs began to charge, Sonic, in a burst of blue light, blazes forward at breakneck speed, weaving through the charging Beowulfs like a living blur. He curled into a ball mid-air, launching himself into a perfectly executed homing attack. Cracked. Asterisk. His spin connected with the first Beowulf, sending it flying backward into the rocky ground. Before the others could react, Sonic ricocheted off its body, his momentum carrying him into the second. He slammed into the creature's chest with the force of a cannonball, splintering its bone-plated armor as it roared in agony. The other Beowulf barely had time to snarl before Sonic launched himself once more, targeting it with laser-like precision. The impact sent shockwaves through the air as the Beowulf was hurled into the canyon wall, crumpling under the sheer force. Sonic landed gracefully in a crouch, his eyes already darting to the next targets, the remaining Beowulfs growling in anger as they regrouped. From a distance, RWBY smirked, unable to resist a playful taunt. "Show off," she called out, her voice laced with excitement. With a flick of her wrist, Crescent Rose spun into its full scythe form as she leapt into the fray. The other three Beowulfs, enraged by the loss of their packmates, snarled viciously and charged straight for RWBY. Their claws slashed through the air, aiming to tear her apart. But RWBY stood her ground, confident and grinning. As the first Beowulf lunged at her, RWBY spun gracefully, using her semblance to dodge quickly from its oncoming attacks. She used her Crescent Rose to slice through the air with a deadly arc, severing the Beowulf in mid-leap. Its body dissolved into a cloud of shadowy dust before it even hit the ground. The second Beowulf swiped wildly at her, but RWBY was already in motion, ducking low and rolling beneath its attack. She came up behind it, scythe flashing in a powerful upward slash that tore through its defenses. The Grim collapsed into the dirt, its body disintegrating into dark smoke. The third Beowulf, furious and desperate, charged at RWBY with blazing red eyes and a terrifying roar. RWBY didn't flinch. She spun Crescent Rose while engaging the creature head-on. The creature leapt high, and tried to aim its claws right at her, but at the last second, RWBY burst into rose petals and used her speed to avoid every strike against the monster. With every movement, she utilizes her Crescent Rose to shoot at its body in sniper rifle mode and chipped away at its strength until she transforms it into scythe mode. And with one final slash, she beheaded the Beowulf, making its body fall onto the ground disintegrated, leaving only silence in its wake. "Hey, that'll show 'em," RWBY said with a confident grin, planting Crescent Rose in the ground. She turned toward Church. "Church, it's now up to you." Church, however, was not having as easy a time. He stood a good distance away, sniper rifle in hand, facing down three Beowulfs. Unlike RWBY and Sonic, his movements weren't as graceful or swift, and panic was starting to set in as the creatures slowly stalked toward him, their low growls sending chills down his spine. Guys," Church muttered, his voice shaky as he fumbled to reload his rifle. The Beowulfs bared their sharp teeth, creeping closer with every second. "Why did I agree to this? I'm not some speedy blue hedgehog or a teenager with a giant-ass scythe. That's also a gun. Seriously, what the fuck kind of world I'm living in right now?" Swipe. Whoa. Church cut himself off, stumbling back as one of the Grim lunged at him. He barely managed to dodge the attack, falling to the ground as his rifle clattered beside him. Scrambling to his feet, he aimed haphazardly and fired but missed the mark by a long shot. "Okay, stay calm, stay calm. That shot might be a fluke, but you're the blue team's leader for a reason. It's not your aim, that's the problem. You're just tired, yeah, tired." Church muttered to himself, but his eyes darted around in desperation as the Beowulfs prepared for another attack. Church's voice trembled with false bravado as he aimed his sniper rifle at the three approaching Beowulfs. "Hey, dickheads, say hello to my little friend," he shouted, trying to steady his shaking hands. The Beowulfs didn't seem fazed by his taunt, their growls growing louder as they inched closer, fangs bared. One of them lunged again, and Church pulled the trigger, but the shot whizzed past the creature, completely missing. "Goddamn it," Church cursed, scrambling backward as the Grim closed the gap. Desperation crept into his voice as he continued to fire wildly, each shot either missing or barely grazing his targets. As one of the Beowulfs leapt for him again, Church dove to the side, narrowly avoiding its claws. His back hit the ground hard, and his sniper rifle slid out of reach. He was out of options, and the Grim were too close for another desperate shot. "I'm so screwed." One of the Beowulfs raised its massive claws high, preparing to slash down and end Church's life. At the last possible second, Church rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the deadly strike. He grabbed hold of a nearby rock, using it to push himself up as the Beowulf's claws scraped the ground where he'd just been. "Damn it," Church muttered under his breath, his body shaking from the adrenaline. With no time to think, he spotted his sniper rifle lying just a few feet away. The Beowulf, snarling in frustration, lunged again. Church dove for his rifle, sliding across the ground as he grabbed the weapon in one swift motion. He rolled onto his back, quickly aiming the barrel at the charging Grim. "All right, you bastard, eat this." He pulled the trigger. Bang! He missed. No. Bang! He kept firing at the remaining 3 Beowulfs, but to his avail, he misses his mark every single time, as if he's cursed to always miss his targets no matter what he do. No, no, no. Bang! The more frustrated Church became, the more his anger and negativity draws in the attention of the Beowulfs. This caused them to become even more aggressive, and they all began to close in on him. No, 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 ow, you useless rifle. He threw his sniper rifle in anger, already accepting that he couldn't do anything to save himself from the terrors of the Beowulfs. The ferocious beasts all jumped at him with their deadly claws and vicious teeth. Church thought he was going to die right then and there, that is until something unexpected happened at the last minute. Bang! The moment Church's sniper rifle hit the ground, it bounced and discharged a single bullet. By some wild stroke of luck, the shot ricocheted off the canyon walls and aimed right at the last 3 Grim. The bullet passed through the skulls of all 3 Beowulfs in rapid succession. Their bodies collapsed in unison, disintegrating into black smoke before they even hit the ground. Church stood there in stunned silence, and he stared at the sniper rifle lying on the ground. I did it. He stammered, still processing what had just happened. I fucking did it. Ha, ha. His voice echoed across the canyon, his excitement exploding out of him. RWBY and Sonic, arriving just after finishing off their own group of Beowulfs, came to a halt at the sight of Church celebrating. RWBY gave a soft laugh, a warm smile spreading across her face. Sonic was holding Tails in his arms, which he was able to rescue him after dealing with the Grim a few moments ago. He grinned at Church's accomplishment and gave him a small thumbs up. Should we tell him it was mostly his rifle that did all the work? Sonic asked RWBY. Nah, I'd say, just let him have his moment. RWBY replied. I hit them. I totally hit them. Oh my god. I actually hit all 3 of them. Yes, I'm awesome. Nothing will ever bring me down. Chomp. Ah. All of a sudden, a trio of Beowulfs came out of nowhere and began biting down on Church's torso. He was screaming for his life, as the Grim continued their onslaught against him, trying to tear down his body. RWBY's smile vanished as her eyes widened in shock. Sonic's grin quickly faded as well, and both of them bolted toward Church, who was thrashing wildly under the sudden attack of the 3 Beowulfs that had appeared out of nowhere. Church! RWBY shouted, whipping Crescent Rose into position, its blade gleaming under the canyon light. Hang in there, buddy. Sonic yelled, gently setting Tails down behind a rock before dashing forward in a blue blur. Church's triumphant cheers had turned into a high-pitched scream as the Beowulfs gnawed at his armor. This is not what I meant. Somebody help me. Ah. RWBY leapt forward and slashed through one of the Beowulfs with a single, clean swing of her scythe. The creature's head was decapitated and disintegrated into black smoke as the other 2 turned their attention toward her. Get away from him. RWBY shouted, her eyes narrowing. Sonic zipped in right after her, spinning into a high-speed ball, and slammed into the second Beowulf, sending it flying across the canyon. He came to a stop beside Church, flashing him a quick grin. Guess ya spoke too soon, huh? Sonic quipped. The third Beowulf lunged for Church again, but before it could reach him, RWBY was already in motion. She launched herself by shooting a sniper round from the opposite direction, propelling her in the air, and sliced through the last Grim, severing its entire body in half, which dissolved into ashes. Church slumped to the ground, clutching his torso. I was so close to being cool, he whimpered. RWBY knelt beside him, chuckling softly as she put a hand on his shoulder. You were cool, Church. That was just a little unlucky. Sonic gave him a thumbs up, still smirking. Yeah, dude. Next time, maybe keep your victory dance after checking for hidden Grim. Church groaned, still in pain but managed to speak for a bit. Noted, definitely noted. Unbeknownst to them, there was a canyon wall next to them that looked like it was cracking with pressure, along with a couple of black feathers falling from the sky. One could say that this battle is not over yet, and it is just getting started. Weiss and Tucker managed to catch up to Caboose, after he was done running all day screaming his head off at some random nonsense. Caboose, maybe next time when you make one of those long-ass speeches. Maybe don't run off towards the end of the canyon walls instead of, you know, the fucking grim. Tucker exclaimed in anger. My bad, being a knight in shining armor for the Ice Queen isn't as easy as it looks, Caboose said. Weiss facepalmed. Caboose, I'm not an actual Ice Queen. I just so happen to be good with ice dust along with my semblance. And it's just a terrible, immature, annoying nickname, everyone keeps calling me that. Sue, an heiress then? Caboose asked. I'm not actually, wait, no, you're right about that. Weiss said. Tucker was surprised. What? You mean to tell me you're a princess? Weiss scoffed. Heiress. And besides, what's more important is that we need to take down those 7 Borbatusks, or else they'll try to destroy us all. Weiss finished, her expression serious as she pointed toward the 7 Borbatusks stampeding dangerously close to their location. Tucker groaned in frustration. As if dealing with Caboose wasn't enough, now we've got oversized, armored pigs to deal with. After mentioning his name, the duo turned to look at Caboose, who for some reason isn't doing anything, and is grunting really hard out loud. Weiss raised her eyebrow. Caboose, what are you doing? Why you see, their spiky bodies remind me of HRNG, something that makes me mad. If I just, HRNG, think really hard, maybe, I remember the thing that, HRNG, makes me mad and be able to make them disappear, like when O'Malley got into my body. Caboose explained, as he continues to struggle to think. What? Caboose, what are you talking about? The Borbatusks are about to be here at any moment. We have to put ourselves into positions. Weiss exclaimed, as she already brought out her Mertenaster. You guys gotta, trust me, HRNG. On this. It worked before, I can do it again. Caboose replied, still trying to remember his past. Tucker shook his head. Caboose, you fucking moron. O'Malley isn't here right now. Can you at least stop being an idiot for 2 seconds because crap baskets. Tucker was interrupted after witnessing the 7 Borbatusks who are now charging straight at them, getting even more closer than before. One Borbatusks was rolling at ferocious speed towards Tucker, who froze in place and panicked at the sight of the armored Grim. He didn't know what to do, but the white member of Team RWBY jumped in front of Tucker and used her glyphs to block the oncoming pig and made it stumbled onto its back. She then graciously backflipped into the air, propel herself with the use of her glyph, and stabbed the Borbatusk into its stomach while shooting a round of fire dust into it which caused it to explode and disintegrate into dust. Tucker, you need to get out of the way. You're useless in a fight. So, either use your little gun to distract them, or go lollygagging with Caboose. Weiss stated firmly, not wanting to waste any more time. Hey, I can handle myself in a fight. I'll have you know all the ladies saw me in action, like have you seen the size of M? Bam. Asterisk. Ow. Tucker was cut off, as he failed to notice one of the Borbatusks charged at him with killing intent and knocked him onto the ground. Weiss rolled her eyes at his stupidity. She ran to go help Tucker, but the moment she did, another Borbatusk was already trying to speed up and taking her out from behind. She saw it coming in the corner of her eye and quickly pivoted, using her round of ice dust to freeze its charging path. The creature skidded to a halt, its legs slipping out from it and its body getting hurt from the large icicles, but not before it managed to swipe at her with its massive tusks. She dodged, roll out of its way and regain her footing. The Grim charged up another rolling attack towards the heiress, but she was ready this time. With a swift movement, she summoned a glyph beneath her feet, launching herself into the air just as the Borbatusk barreled past. As it crashed into the canyon wall, she landed gracefully and quickly turned to face the beast. Thanks to it getting its tusk stuck onto the rocky wall, Weiss launched herself with her glyphs once more. This time she slid underneath the creature's belly, and used her rapier to make a clean stab wound to the Grim. The Borbatusk roared out in pain, as Weiss shot out an electric dust in its inside, frying the Grim away until it collapsed into disintegration. Come on, Tucker. Get up, she shouted, glancing back at her teammate, who was still struggling to regain his bearings. If you're dead because you can't handle some pigs, I'm gonna kill you. Tucker groaned, pushing himself off the ground, rubbing his head. I'm trying. Like you expect me to see that coming. He took a deep breath and regained his composure. And how is that even possible to kill me if I died anyway? Roar. Asterisk. Oh, give me a break. Tucker yelled in annoyance. He saw another Borbitusk rolling towards him with increased speed. Tucker barely had any time to react. He grabbed out his rifle and started shooting at the Grim. He thought it would be effective, but to his avail, the bullets bounced off of its armor. Before the Borbitusk managed to come into contact to Tucker, he leapt out of the way and grunted in pain. Shit. Tucker cursed under his breath. You can't shoot their bodies. They're covered in armor. You gotta aim for their weak spot. Weiss yelled, trying to give some advice to Tucker. And how the hell am I supposed to know that? I'm a lover, not a hunter. I'm not cut out for this crap. Tucker replied, startled at how wild and dangerous the Borbitusk really are. Weiss groaned in frustration. Don't you have anything sharp to penetrate its stomach? Anything at all? Because I can't keep protecting you forever, you know. Behind him, the Borbitusk spun and launched itself towards the member of Blue Team. Tucker was struggling to find anything useful he can attack with to kill the oncoming Grim. He was this close to being defeated at the last second, until he remembered something that he almost forgotten. Oh yeah, that's right, I have a sword as well. Tucker said casually. Shink. Asterisk. Slice. Asterisk. Swish. Tucker unleashed what appears to be an energy sword out of nowhere and used it to cut the Grim in half. Its entire body splintered apart, exploding into a cloud of black smoke and leaving nothing but dust in its wake. Tucker stood there, momentarily stunned by his own unexpected efficiency. Did it work? It did. I totally just did that. He exclaimed, his voice laced with newfound confidence. He looked at Weiss, who was watching him with a mixture of surprise and astonishment. Ha! In your face, Ice Queen. I told you I could handle myself. Tucker. What is that? Weiss asked, not knowing what Tucker is holding right now. Oh this. This is my awesome kick-ass sword. Aren't I a badass or what? Tucker said with pride and excitement. Weiss was flabbergasted. You didn't use it until now. You were able to destroy its armor after one swing. That doesn't seem physically possible. Tucker was startled at Weiss' outburst. Oh, yeah, sorry, got caught up in the glory of my awesomeness. You see, I fell into this hole during one of our adventures. I founded this sword which just so happens to also be some kind of key. Then we got wrapped up in some lame alien quest shit to fulfill some prophecy to become the leader of their race or whatever. And eventually it's one of the reasons on how I became pregnant in the first place and spawned my alien baby. You okay, Weiss? You're looking at me as if you're gonna explode or something. Weiss blinked rapidly, trying to process what Tucker had just said. What? You fell into a hole, found a sword, got involved in an alien prophecy, and then got pregnant. How does any of that make sense whatsoever in the slightest? Tucker shrugged. Hey, it's a wild universe we live in. You should know that by now. He flicked the energy sword playfully, sending a few sparks into the air. I'm not complaining much, I never felt so much fun whipping out this big bad boy in front of the ladies. Bo chicka bo. Shink. Asterisk. Sorry, what were you gonna say that last part? Weiss asked, as she put her sword near Tucker's neck, where she's clearly not in the mood for another one of his delusional ideas of romance. Tucker raised his hands defensively, chuckling nervously. Whoa. Story's over, he gulped, realizing that Weiss's patience was wearing thin. Weiss rubbed her temples. You're an even bigger pig than the Borbitusks. I didn't even get to the part where the sailor shows up. Tucker added. Look, can we please focus on the matter at hand instead of your fantasies? Weiss said, lowering her sword but still eyeing him warily. We were able to get rid of 3 of them, what happened to the remaining 4? Over there. Going straight at Caboose for some reason. Tucker said, pointing at Caboose's location. What? Weiss yelled. They both stopped their conversation, as they saw 4 Borbitusks are heading straight for Caboose with their vicious tusks and sped up with their rolling forms, closing in fast. Caboose, oblivious to the danger, was still standing in the middle of the field, grunting as if he's still in deep thought. Caboose. Move, you idiot, Tucker shouted, waving his arms frantically. Weiss summoned a glyph beneath her feet, holds Tucker's arm, and aimed it in the direction of the Grim. Grab on. Wait, I'm not entirely sure if this is a good id. *FWOOOOOOM. Idea. Tucker screamed at the top of his lungs. Weiss launched herself with the support of her glyph, along with Tucker, to go as fast as they can to stop the approaching Grim from hurting Caboose. Caboose was still entranced in deep thought, searching for the answer of his anger and how it could be beneficial at the task at hand. The 4 Borbatusks were still charging at him with incredible speed. Before Weiss and Tucker can do anything to save him on time, something finally snaps inside Caboose. "Now I remember," Caboose yelled. "Those piggies are covered in spikes, like kittens. Goo. Kittens, covered in spikes. And that makes me angry. Ah. Bam. Asterisk. Caboose punched one of the Borbatusks on its head. The impact was so powerful, it created a small shockwave which resulted its head exploding with immense amounts of pain, killing the armored Grim easily with its headless body disintegrating once it reached the ground. Weiss and Tucker were surprised at his sudden change in behavior. They halted themselves to a complete stop but stumbled and faceplanted onto the ground due to the abrupted shift in momentum. Tucker groaned as he lifted his face from the dirt. Why does this always happen to me? He turned to Weiss, who was already picking herself up, brushing off dust and trying to maintain her composure despite her clear shock. Did Caboose just punch a Borbatusk to death? Weiss asked in disbelief, her eyes widen in shock. Yeah, I think he did. Tucker shook his head, still processing what he just witnessed. That idiot might be dumber than a bag of rocks, but he sure knows how to surprise us. Meanwhile, Caboose, still in his newfound rage mode, stood in front of the remaining 3 Borbatusks, glaring at them with intensity. "My name is Michael J. Caboose. And I hate babies," he bellowed as the Grim charged at him. Without hesitation, Caboose charged forward, fists raised high. He swung at the first Borbatusk, his uppercut sent it flying several feet into the air before it exploded into a cloud of black smoke. The second tried to roll at him, but Caboose grabbed it mid-spin and, with a loud grunt, slammed it into the ground, shattering its armored body like it was made of glass. The third Borbatusk hesitated for a split second, sensing the raw power emanating from Caboose. Before it can do anything, Caboose saw his opportunity, and he ran quickly towards the Grim. He then grabbed its body and put his entire arm right through its stomach, causing it to roar out in pain and dissipate into nothing. The fourth and final Borbatusk charged at Caboose with all its might. It spun around like a deadly saw blade. Caboose, however, was unfazed. He stood his ground, narrowing his sight with an intense glare. Just before the Borbatusk could hit him, Caboose reached out with both hands and caught the massive Grim mid-roll. The force of the impact sent dirt and debris flying everywhere, but Caboose didn't budge. With a deep grunt, he lifted the creature above his head as if it weighed nothing. "I said, I hate babies," Caboose yelled with fury. He held the creature in the air and ripped apart the Borbatusk with his bare hands full of intense strength and pure unadulterated rage. His extreme anger has no bounds, as the Grim's inside splattered all across his body, until it disappeared into dark smoke. Caboose stood triumphantly over the destroyed Grim, breathing heavily, his anger finally subsiding. He turned back to Tucker and Weiss, who were staring at him, dumbfounded. Tucker broke the silence. Caboose, remind me to never make you mad." Weiss was at a loss of words at what she had just witnessed. That shouldn't have been possible. He doesn't have aura or a semblance whatsoever, and yet, he tore that Grim apart as if it was made out of tissue paper. "Oh, hey guys. I petted all the pigs at our zoo today. They were really mean and scary to me for no reason, so I gave them a massage and now they're all asleep again," Caboose stated, not aware of anything that's going on. "Can I go feed the birds now?" Weiss and Tucker stared at each other awkwardly. "Please don't tell me he didn't remember what just happened," Weiss asked, feeling a little scared. "Welcome to our world," Tucker remarked. With Weiss and the other 2 done with getting rid of the Borbatusk's Grim, Blake, Sarge, and Tex are readying themselves into positions hiding behind a small hill. They saw the Alpha Beowulf searching for its next prey to slaughter. Blake transforms her gamble shroud into its gun scythe form. Tex is reloading her battle rifle, and Sarge does the same except with his reliable shotgun. "I tell ya, this is just like hunting those freakishly large squirrels back in the battlefield of Gemini. Big, Hairy, ugly lil critters, and even fun to kill since they always remind me of a fat useless nobody that represents all of my hate and regrets, someone like Griff. Sarge exclaimed, but not too loud for the Grim to notice them. Blake shot him a glance, eyes narrowed. Do you ever stop talking? She whispered, her bow twitching slightly as she scanned the Alpha. Not ever since I lost my partner to that blasted star you call the sun. One day, I'll be sure avenge him and beat the ever-living hell out of them fancy weathermen who said it was going to rain on that day. It was sunny with no clouds in the sky, goddammit. Sarge yelled with pride. Will you two shut the fuck up already? Tex raised her voice, not liking how much time they're wasting. I'm only here so I can go get O'Malley, instead I have to save both of your sorry asses from being killed from whatever the fuck you call these monsters. So, you two better follow my lead or else I'm leaving you both to die. Blake hushed her. Shish. Don't show your negativity, especially when we're this close towards the Grim, who's the Alpha by the way. If your negativity is too high, you're more likely to draw them in, causing us more trouble than it's worth. Oh please, don't be such a pussycat, Blake. The red team is efficient when it comes to hunting down wolves like him. Why we eat them and their younglings every day for breakfast. And lunch, brunch. Sarge waved off, not taking the situation seriously. Blake rolled her eyes. You know, for a sergeant, you're really good at running your mouth off, than actually having skillful leadership that support and care for your soldiers. Because the way I see it, your own shotgun is doing the work for you, than your own delusions. Tex nodded in agreement. Preaching the choir on that one. Sarge shook his head. Like you actually have the spine to follow orders and getting the job done. I bet if I told ya to stand down, you'd charge headfirst into a landmine just to prove a point. Sarge retorted, jabbing a finger toward Blake. Blake was about to retort back, but something caught her eyes in the direction behind Sarge. Sarge, look behind you. And let ya get the better of me after badmouthing how I'm the supposed awful leader of this conundrum. I see what's going on here. You think you can trick me with cat-like intuitions? Sarge questioned, not knowing what's going to happen next. Blake glared back at Sarge, getting quite annoyed at this point. I'm serious, Sarge, you better turn around. Sarge chuckled in response. Ha. Oh, you just cracked me up, Missy. I always thought that women were usually the ones who would turn around right now. Tex stated firmly, getting serious all of a sudden. Sarge sighed. Go alright, but only because I'm never the type to go against a lady. He turns around to see what they were talking about, and apparently what he saw in front of him was an unfortunate timing on his part. He now sees the Alpha Grim glaring intensely towards Sarge, as the creature is getting ready to swoop down on him with its sharp and dangerous claws. Blake gave Sarge a dumbfounded look towards him, while Tex just facepalmed at how much of a selfish idiot the supposed red leader of his team can be. Aw snap, Sarge muttered, already regretting this. Roar. Asterisk. Slash. Asterisk. Dangan Abbott. Sarge shouted in pain due to the Grim swiping down on him with its sharp claws, raking him across his armor, sending him tumbling down the hill like a bowling ball. Ah hell. This is worse than that time I lost an arm wrestling match to Simmons. Sarge yelped as he skidded to a stop, holding his ribs and staring at the Alpha, which was now barreling toward him for another attack. The Alpha Beowulf started charging straight at him with murderous intent. Sarge thought he could brace himself if he could use his shotgun and time it just right if he could get a clean shot to shoot the Alpha right through to its head. The moment the Alpha Grim gets right close towards his face, it was about to thrust its entire arm down on him. Instead of killing him, Sarge was then quickly saved by Blake after she dashed off to rescue him with the use of her semblance, where she disappears into a shadow for a split second, and then reappear near him, and tackle Sarge out of the way. They both took a fall but were able to quickly get right back up. Damn it, Blake. You ruined everything. I was about to blow his noggin clean off in a moment of glory. Sarge yelled with pride. Blake had enough of his insane ramblings. Will you stop being a moron for 5 seconds? If it wasn't for me, you would have been dead. Yeah right. Dying in the field of battle is what I was born to do. Everyone knows that dying while fighting against our enemies is a good way to showcase your freedom. Americanism. A merry freedom. It symbolizes how much we appreciate what little time we have left. We bleed red and die red. Sarge stated patriotically while shaking his fist. Blake glared at him, absolutely dumbfounded. Sarge, that doesn't even make sense. And what the hell is Americanism? Tex, having seen enough, reloaded her rifle with a swift click and stepped forward, her expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. Blake, save your breath. Arguing with him is like arguing with a brick wall. Except, a brick wall might actually listen. Roar. Asterisk. The alpha Beowulf, clearly unimpressed by their bickering, let out a guttural roar and lunged toward them again, its claws tearing through the dirt with alarming speed. Tex raised her rifle and unloaded several rounds into the Grimm's side, slightly hurting it but not stopping it. Blake, Sarge, we need to take it out. Now, Tex barked, vaulting over a boulder as the Beowulf's claws barely missed her. Sarge cocked his shotgun in response. You damn well bet I am. Ain't nobody killin' this bastard but me. He charged forward with reckless abandon, shotgun at the ready. Blake shook her head at Sarge's blind ignorance. I don't know if he's either brave, or just really stupid. She sprinted forward thanks to her semblance to keep up with the rest of her squad. Tex tried shooting the Alpha Grimm between its legs, trying to cripple it, but the Grimm is a lot stronger than she thought. The Alpha moved forward to get a quick bite at the Freelancer, but Tex noticed this and was able to dodge roll out of the way. Sarge, coming from behind, used his shotgun to blast the creature's back, unleashing a barrage of shotgun blasts onto the Alpha Beowulf, cackling like a madman. Woohoo! Get a taste of the old faithful shotgun, ya oversized poodle. Sarge yelled enthusiastically. The shots did little damage to injure it, but it was enough to irritate the Grimm. In Sarge's mind, it's like he was already writing the heroic epitaph for his non-existent funeral. Blake dashed around the creature in a flash, her semblance leaving dark afterimages as she spun Gamble Shroud into its katana form to make large swings at the monster. She slashed at the Beowulf's legs, her strikes precise and quick like a cat toying with its prey. But while she was focused on planning ahead, Sarge was yelling like a kid who downed 6 energy drinks at once. Ya see that, Blake? I managed to hurt that mangy mutt with my patented, talk loud and blow shit up, technique. Showed ya I can do more than letting my shotgun do all the work for me. Sarge yelled, being full of himself as usual. Blake groaned, getting annoyed at him with each passing time. Maybe leaving him to get buried alive was a good idea after all. As if on cue, Tex flipped over the Alpha's head with a nimble leap, landing on its back with all the grace of a deadly assassin. I don't have time for your red team bullshit, Sarge. You either take this thing down or I'll make sure O'Malley finishes the job by possessing your dumb ass. She yelled, driving her combat knife deep into the beast's back. Shinked. Asterisk. Roar. Asterisk. The Alpha let out a thunderous roar, whipping around to shake her off. Tex clung on like a rodeo rider, holding on for dear life, as the Grimm bucked and clawed at the air, the ground shaking under its strength. Could use a little help here. Sarge, oblivious as usual, laughed. Don't worry, Tex. I've got this under control. Just gonna wait until it. Wham! Asterisk. Before he could finish, the Alpha swiped at him again, sending him flying like a ragdoll. He crashed into a boulder, demolishing the entire rock, and putting a dent on his armor. Herc. Blay ag. Sarge muttered, before he got knocked out unconscious, again. Blake stared at Sarge's limp body, sprawled across the shattered remains of the boulder, a deep sigh escaping her lips. Yeah, he's definitely stupid. The Alpha Beowulf, now raging from Tex's relentless stabs and Sarge's irritating shotgun blasts, charged again. It lowered its head, snarling, as it zeroed in on Blake, who was busy wondering how she got stuck with this team of walking disasters. Tex, still clinging to the back of the beast, shouted. Blake, any time now. Blake rolled her eyes and twirled Gamble Shroud into its gun form, letting out a series of quick, precise shots at the Alpha's eyes, blinding it momentarily. She kicked off the ground with her semblance, her shadowy afterimages scattering around the creature, confusing it as she darted through the air like a blur. Boom. This was good enough for Tex to remove her knife, backflip away from the Alpha Grimm, and let go a grenade she had on her, causing the creature to raise its arm to its face in pain, dealing with a loud and powerful explosion. As the dust cleared, the Alpha Beowulf let out a howl that could wake the dead, its fury intensified by the grenade's blast. The air around it crackled with anger and smoke, and Tex landed gracefully next to Blake, checking her rifle as she scanned for Sarge. "That idiot better wake up soon or I'm gonna be carrying his ass out of here," she complained, her eyes still on the Beowulf. "Focus, Tex. Sarge may be down, but we gotta make sure to finish the Alpha Beowulf before it kills us both," Blake said, taking this seriously. Tex nodded, the tension in her arms coiling like a spring as she prepared for the next assault. "Right, let's wrap this up quickly. Something tells me that howl isn't just for show." Blake removed the sheath off her gamble shroud and gives it to Tex. "Here." Tex grabs her sheath but was left with confusion. "Okay, is this some sort of joke? How the hell am I supposed to kill that alpha if all I have is a dainty little sheath?" Blake rolled her eyes. "That's not just any sheath. Press the button on its side. This better be good after I shink. Asterisk. Whoa." When Tex pressed the button on the side of the sheath, it transformed into another katana blade, similar to Blake's gamble shroud. She was impressed on not only seeing it in action, but also how the girls are a lot craftier than she gave credit. "You know what? Maybe you girls aren't so bad after all," Tex complimented. Blake nodded, refocusing on the still enraged Alpha Beowulf, which was charging towards them once more. "Stick to the plan, and we can take this down fast. You go high, I go low." The Alpha Grim leapt toward them, its claws outstretched. Blake, with a flick of her wrist, shot Gamble Shroud's ribbon toward the creature's legs. It wrapped around its limb like a serpent, yanking it to the ground with a satisfying thud. Tex, seizing the moment, sprinted forward and vaulted into the air, spinning with her new katana to slash at the Beowulf's exposed back in a series of rapid, acrobatic strikes. Slash slash slash. The Beowulf howled, flailing wildly as Tex danced around its massive claws, her movements fluid and well-balanced. Blake sprinted in with equal grace, her semblance leaving shadowy afterimages as she weaved between its attacks, slicing at its legs and torso with deadly precision. "I gotta admit," Tex grunted, blocking a wild swipe with her blade. "This is the most fun I've had since making Caboose target practice against my own sniper rifle." Blake looked at her, as if she's crazy. "You're really twisted, you know that." Tex nodded. "Damn right I am." She parried the next attack, the Alpha's claw crashing into her blade with a metallic clang asterisk. "Now let's put this thing down." Suddenly, the Beowulf reared back, preparing to unleash a massive ground pound with its claws. Blake saw it coming and quickly threw Gamble Shroud's blade into the ground, pulling herself upward into the air, while Tex sidestepped and rolled out of harm's way. The impact of the Beowulf's strike sent dirt flying everywhere, creating a momentary dust cloud. The Alpha Beowulf was about to commence its next attack, until something happened that caught it by surprise. Yeehaw! Sarge jumped out through the dust cloud and grappled the Beowulf's face. It roared in anger and tried to shake him off its head, but Sarge is still holding onto it no matter how stubborn he truly is. "Thought you could count ol' Sarge out, did ya?" Sarge's voice boomed as he tackled the Beowulf's head like a rabid rodeo cowboy. Somehow, he had managed to recover and was now clinging to the Beowulf's face, one hand wrapped around its muzzle and the other jamming his shotgun into its eye socket. "I'm gonna show this lil pup who's the real alpha is around here. Time to go old yeller on her ass." Boom. Asterisk. The shotgun blast reverberated through the clearing, sending chunks of the Beowulf's skull flying. The Alpha staggered, roaring in agony as it flailed, trying to shake Sarge off. "Y'all see that? That's how ya do it." Sarge shouted triumphantly, riding the Beowulf like a mechanical bull. "Whoa ho ho. He's a lot more of a hasty feller than I thought." Blake facepalmed. "He's going to get himself killed." Tex, shaking her head, shouted. "All right, let's finish this before he kills us." Blake shot forward once more, slicing through the Beowulf's legs with lethal intentions, and Tex took advantage of its weakness. With a powerful leap, they both drove both their katana blades into the Beowulf's neck, piercing it with a deadly, final strike. Roar. Asterisk. Slice. Asterisk. The Alpha Beowulf had gotten decapitated thanks to Blake and Tex's strength and agility. It collapsed to the ground, its massive body heaving one last breath before going still. Tex landed in a crouch beside Blake, looking tired but satisfied. "Well, that was something. Let's be glad there is only one of them out here," Blake commented, shaking her head at the chaos that had unfolded. Amen to that, Tex said, as she gave Blake her sheath back. Sarge jumped off the corpse of the Alpha Beowulf before it disappeared into dark smoke. He stands tall with his chest puffed out. Damn right it was. Red Team Army for the win. Ain't nobody out there tougher than me. I'm the Alpha and the Omega. This here wolf couldn't stab through my armor, let alone take down a war machine like me. Hell, I'll wrestle 100 more of them and still have time to kick Griff's lazy ass into next Tuesday. Blake raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. You got knocked out by a rock. Tex just groaned, shaking her head. And we're back to this. Blake sighed. Whatever, let's just hope that Yang and the others take care of killing off those Grimm a lot better than we did. I mean, how bad could it possibly be over there anyway? Ah, we're terrible at killing the Grimm. Oh ho ho. This is really bad over here. Simmons and Griff both shouted, as they ran away from getting chased from the 3 Ursa Grimm who were right on their tails, each one looking like they could snap both of them in half without breaking a sweat. Behind them, Yang stood her ground, cracking her knuckles with a gleeful grin. Come on, you two. You gotta have a little more fun than that. Her Ember Celica gauntlet snapped into place with a metallic clank, the familiar yellow glow of her aura flaring around her. Simmons wheezed, his legs barely keeping up. What the hell is wrong with you people? How is your definition of fun have to do with killing 3 giant bears hunting us? Griff huffed beside him. Look, if I wanted to die today, I would have stayed in bed and let Simmons bore me to death with another one of his stupid theories. Not the time, Griff. Simmons snapped, dodging a swipe from one of the Ursa's claws. Shit, we can't get away from them. We tried shooting at their joints like you said, but apparently, I've forgotten how terrible we are at using our guns. Griff shook his head. No. You were the one who was doing all of the shooting, I just stayed behind you until they started chasing after you like you were their full-course meal. Meaning this was technically all your fault. What? Simmons exclaimed. Yeah, and you didn't even shoot them at their joints either. You shot one of them on their butt and that's why they're pissed off. Griff finished, his voice high-pitched with panic. You shot a Grimm in the ass, Simmons. How do you miss an entire leg joint and hit its ass? Simmons, panting and dodging another swipe from the Ursa, snapped back. It's not like you were helping. And how was I supposed to know their butts were sensitive? You don't have to be a genius to know that nobody likes getting shot in the ass. Griff yelled, barely ducking in time as one of the Ursas swiped at him. Behind them, Yang was in full action mode. Her fists ignited as she charged the first Ursa, leaping into the air. She threw a devastating punch directly at its face. The beast reeled back with a guttural growl, only to be met with a barrage of fiery punches and kicks. Every blow from Yang's Ember Celica gauntlets exploded with energy, knocking the Ursa off balance. Boom, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yang shouted, flipping mid-air before landing on the back of the second Ursa. Meanwhile, Griff was still panicking. Man, fuck this. We're about to get our asses handed to those murderous skeleton bears, while Yang's having a blast playing Punch-Out with them. Simmons tried to catch his breath, his mind racing for any sort of plan. We need to regroup. Maybe if we go to a safe distance and... Boom. Asterisk. Yang delivered another explosive punch that sent the second Ursa tumbling into the third, knocking both of them down like bowling pins. She landed on her feet, her hair glowing for a bit, and gave a wild grin. You guys aren't seriously thinking about running, are you? Griff, crouched behind a rock now, peeked out cautiously. Yeah, that's kind of what we do best. Wait, what the hell happened to your hair? And why is it glowing? Is this part of your semblance you mentioned earlier? Simmons questioned. Oh yeah, you see every time when I... Fuck, look out. Griff shouted, pointing at the incoming Ursa. The Ursa swiped its massive arm at Yang, who smirked as she saw it coming. With a quick, effortless backflip, she dodged the attack, her blonde hair whipping through the air as she landed gracefully a few feet away. Yang, are you okay? Simmons yelled, worried for her well-being. Yang scoffed casually. Oh, please Simmons, these Ursas couldn't hit the broad side of a bar. Before she can complete her insult, her eyes gaze at a single strand of her yellow hair falling in front of her face and landed onto the ground. Griff and Simmons were left confused, wondering why Yang suddenly stopped fighting them for some reason. Why, you? Yang growled, closing her eyes. Simmons. Did the gravity around here just feel a lot heavier than usual? Griff asked. GG Griff, I think Yang is about to. You bastards. Boom. Asterisk. Yang opens her eyes to reveal her once violet pupils have now shifted to that of a red color. Her hair now glowing with intensity, along with a huge burst of fire surrounding her entire body for a split second. Her body surged with energy as she rocketed forward, propelled by the force of her Ember Celica. She became a blur of motion, hurling towards the Ursa that had dared to mess with her hair. Her fists tightened with her own power as she collided with the beast, unleashing a brutal flurry of punches. Bam, 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 asterisk. Each strike hit with the force of a small explosion, causing shockwaves that rippled through the air. The Ursa barely had time to react as Yang's attacks came at blinding speed. She kept punching it several times, making the Ursa useless due to it not having a chance to attack back. Yang managed to finish it off by uppercutting it into the air with enough force, and threw in another punch to its stomach, sending it to crash into the canyon wall. The Ursa's body couldn't move, its own life was drained in a matter of seconds, and then disintegrated into nothing. Griff and Simmons witnessed her anger in action and were left speechless. Hey, Simmons. Yeah, I'm scared, Griff admitted. We all are, Simmons agreed with him. Yang reloaded her weapon. She spotted a recovered Ursa coming up from behind her. What? You want some too? Roar. Asterisk. I'll take that as a yes. Yang rocketed forward once again, this time towards the recovered Ursa, her eyes blazing red as she leapt into the air with a furious battle cry. The Ursa swung its massive paw at her, but Yang effortlessly dodged mid-flight, twisting her body with a graceful spin and landing a punishing kick straight to the creature's face. The impact sent a shockwave through the canyon as she flipped backward, her gauntlets primed and ready for more punishment. The Ursa recovered from the knockback. It then noticed someone who is full of fear. It turns around and have its sights upon Griff and Simmons. It began to charge at them, its glowing red eyes locking onto the two soldiers like they were the next meal. Griff and Simmons froze, their terror palpable. Oh no, 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 no. Griff screamed. Why is it looking at us now? Because it probably thinks we're easy prey. Simmons shouted, his voice cracking in panic as they scrambled to get away. And it's not wrong. The Ursa roared, picking up speed as it bore down on them, claws outstretched. Just when it looked like Griff and Simmons were about to meet a very painful end, Yang streaked through the air like a bolt of lightning, landing between them and the charging beast. With a fierce roar of her own, Yang punched the ground with both fists, creating a massive shockwave that sent the Ursa stumbling back. Dust and debris kicked up around her, and her fiery aura flared even brighter. Her eyes, still glowing red, were locked onto the Grim as if daring it to come closer. Where d'ya think you're going? Asshole. Yang snarled, her voice dripping with fury. The Ursa, clearly rattled by the display of power, hesitated for a moment, but that moment was all Yang needed. She launched herself forward, her fists blazing as she delivered a crushing blow to the Ursa's snout. The creature staggered, letting out a deep, throaty growl, but Yang wasn't finished yet. She quickly followed up with a series of rapid punches to the sides of the beast's head, each one exploding upon impact. The beast let out a final, pained roar as Yang delivered a devastating uppercut yet again, sending it flying into the air. It hit the ground with a resounding crash, disintegrating into a cloud of black smoke. Griff and Simmons stared at Yang in disbelief. She casually dusted herself off, her eyes returning to their normal violet hue, and flipped her hair with a smirk. That was awesome, Griff breathed, still trembling. Yang, you just, Simmons stammered, trying to find the right words. You saved us. Yeah, Yang said with a shrug, walking past them as if the fight had barely been a warm-up. As I was saying, my semblance is called burn. Every time some poor unlucky sap beats me down with each passing blow, I gain stronger each time and knock them back with it. So, you mean to tell me that your semblance helps you absorb kinetic energy for yourself, which then allows you to unleash it back at your opponents? That's insane, Simmons exclaimed, finally catching his breath. Pretty much. It's like a win-win for me. Yang replied, her confidence glowing like her aura. The more they hit me, the harder I hit back. I can even get more powerful if I get angry enough, that's why my eyes change to red, or how my hair glows bright. You mean like a Super Saiyan or something? Griff asked. Yang tilts her head. I have no clue what that's supposed to mean. Super Saiyan, I didn't know you were into anime. Simmons said. Not really, it's just some dumb show I used to watch with my sister. She would always yell about it while I tried to sleep whenever she sees the blonde characters duke it out with each other. I still remember the time she thought it'd be a good idea to get a diamond out of her crotch because she likes to copy that weird blue-haired chick a little too much. Griff explained. Huh, sounds like my kind of show. Wait, what? Yang said. Wait a second, guys. I thought we took down all 3 of those Ursa. Simmons questioned. Yeah, why do you ask? What's the problem? Yang asked. Well, think about it. If we only saw 2 Ursas disappear after they died, then what happened to the 3rd one? Simmons stated the obvious. Roar. Asterisk. God, fucking, damn it, Griff cursed under his breath. Chomp. Asterisk. The 3rd and final remaining Ursa came out of nowhere and bite down onto Simmons' left arm. Griff and Yang whirled around just in time to see Simmons yelled out in pain. He began flailing around trying to get the creature off of him. Ah, get it off. Get it off. He screamed, moving his arm as the Ursa clamped its massive jaws around it, the beast shaking him like a rag doll. Griff, we gotta save him. Yang said. Griff was taken aback at this. Me? What do you want me to do? Does it look like I'm strong enough to outmaneuver a giant-ass bear? I'm a lazy fatty who eats snack cakes all day. Not Hulk Hogan. Yang rolled her eyes in annoyance. You don't have to attack it, try to distract it or something. Because I can't kill it off now that it has Simmons. How? Griff exclaimed. I don't know, jump onto its body and hold him down, you're big enough to slow it down. Yang explained. Seriously? You want my fat ass to come in to save the day? Griff complained, questioning Yang's logic. Guys, getting mauled by a bear over here. Simmons shouted, trying to get their attention. Chomp. Asterisk. Snap. Asterisk. Ah. Simmons screamed out in pain, as the Ursa is still biting down on his arm, snapping the inside of it. Yang widens her eyes, as she wasted no time running up towards Simmons. Griff. Hurry. I'll try to save Simmons, you go and slow it down now. Ah. Fine. I better have some goddamn chili dogs back at the base after this. Griff whined, reluctantly moving toward the Ursa, his heart pounding in his chest. Yang dashed towards Simmons, her fists already glowing with energy. Don't worry, Simmons. I'm coming to save you. She shouted. She puts her hands onto Simmons and began pulling him. The Ursa is struggling to not let go of its prey, making Simmons grunting in immense amounts of pain. Stop. Stop. Stop, Yang. The more you pull, the more you're gonna tear it off. Simmons yelled. I'm not trying to. Yang replied. Well then, try less then. Simmons suggested. While the Ursa continues to gnaw on Simmons's arm, Griff managed to jump from behind the Grim without it noticing him. He lunges his entire body onto its head, hoping to slow it down for Yang to free their nerdy friends. I got him. I got him. Whoa. Shit. This thing's really jittery for a bear. Griff shouted, as the Ursa tried to break free from Griff's grip. The more it shook its body, the more Simmons yelled because of the Grim still having his arm in its jaws. Yang began pulling as hard as she could for Simmons to escape, but Simmons looked at her with regret. Wait, 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 no, 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 Yang, that's enough. Simmons winced. Yang grunts, trying to pull Simmons out of it. I got this, Simmons. HRRRNG. You'll be free in no time. Griff, can you pull its mouth open? Griff puts his hands on the Ursa's mouth, struggling to pry it open. Damn, who knew wrestling a bear would be this tough? They made it look so easy on TV. See, Simmons. We got this, you have armor, right? I'm sure nothing extreme will happen. Yang reassures, still trying to pull Simmons out of there. Yang, I don't think you should pull anymore. I think my arm's about to crack. Asterisk. Ah. Simmons shouted at the top of his lungs, shocking both of his fellow teammates. They saw that Yang was able to pull Simmons out from the Ursa's mouth, but doing so, caused Simmons's arm to get ripped off from its socket. The Grim finally lets go of Simmons and spat out his arm on the ground. Yang stared at him with a fearful expression across her face. She didn't mean to harm Simmons, but she's now full of intense guilt, realizing she messed up big time. Holy shit. Simmons. I am so sorry. I didn't know that'll happen. I honestly thought you wouldn't suffer a lot because of your armor. Yang panicked. Simmons groaned a little. DD, don't worry, it wasn't your fault. Roar. Asterisk. The Ursa is now full of anger and charged towards Yang, its glowing eyes fixated on her with a fury that could only be described as, really, really angry bear. She was preparing on dealing with the bear herself, that is until Griff did something unexpectedly. Will you just fucking die already, you sack of shit? Griff shouted. He slams down his fists onto its head multiple times, hoping to slow it down before it can attack them. When he struck down with both of his fists, it caused the Ursa to suddenly crash down onto the ground. Indicating that Griff was able to kill it with nothing but his hands, the Grim stopped moving and evaporated into nothing. Griff fell down off the Ursa once it disappeared. He groaned but got back up and was met with Yang and Simmons' shocked expressions on their faces. What? Griff said. Dude, did you just kill that Ursa without using your gun? Simmons asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Yeah, so. Griff shrugged, brushing off the dirt from his armor as if he hadn't just performed the most ridiculous feat of strength imaginable. So, you mean to tell me you have the strength to take down a bear without any problems? You're the laziest person on our team, how were you able to do that whatsoever? Simmons exclaimed, his voice cracked a little. Meh, hell if I know. Griff said hazily. Yang went to pick up Simmons's arm off the ground. She was feeling sorry for what happened to him. If it wasn't for her stubborn behavior, he would have still had an arm on his body. She walked up towards them with a guilty expression. Simmons, I'm sorry for all of this. You got hurt a lot more because of me. Yang voice shaken, feeling intense emotion of sorrow. If I just listened to you, none of this would have happened. I'm such a Terry BL. Oh, hey my arm. Thanks for getting it back for me Yang. Simmons appreciated her. He reattached his arm, as if there were no consequences towards what happened at all. It began making some mechanical noises for a bit, until Simmons began moving his left arm freely again. Yang just stared at him awkwardly, surprised at his suddenly carefree attitude. Simmons, did you just put your arm back as if it was nothing? Yang asked, bewildered at the outcome of it all. Oh, Yang, I suppose you're now realizing I'm kind of part cyborg. Simmons replied. Yang blinked a few times. Cyborg, well 15% of it anyway. Simmons added. Griff steps in. Yeah, you see a long time ago I got run over by the blue team's tank. A lot of my body parts were like fucked up beyond repair. That is until Sarge thought it would be a good idea to get my guts scooped out and get replaced by this guy's guts. He explained, pointing his thumb to his partner. And all of my guts were scooped out and replaced with robot parts. Simmons added. Wait. Hold on a second. Yang interrupted, her eyes widened with shock. You're telling me you got run over by a tank, and instead of, I don't know, getting medical help, you just turned yourself into a robot. Part robot, but pretty much, yeah. Simmons said with a casual wave of his arm, which was now working perfectly fine. It's all very high-tech and advanced. They've got parts for everything nowadays. And having Simmons' guts isn't that bad as I thought it would be. Griff commented. Now I can devour 10 bowls of spaghetti thanks to this new stomach when I originally used to eat only 2. Griff. What the hell? I told you to take care of my body dumbass. Simmons exclaimed in anger. Too late Simmons, it's my body and my choice. And those choices came with delicious consequences. Griff finished smugly, patting his stomach. Yang smirked. Yeah, who knew you were useful by using your own weight? Guess it was enough to take down an Ursa with nothing but your bare hands. She joked, causing her 2 teammates to groan in annoyance. Yang was chuckling at their antics. She may have worried for nothing in the long run, but she did felt sorry for Simmons for putting him on the spot like that, especially towards almost losing his entire arm. She thought the idea of getting dismembered is a scary thought to think about and hope that she'll never encounter into another situation like that ever again. Before she can do anything, she heard something ringing inside of her pocket. She picks up her scroll to see who it was. Hello, Yang. It's me, RWBY. We got a problem over here. RWBY said with exasperation in her voice. Screech. Asterisk. What's going on? Sounds like a loud bird is screaming behind you. Yang replied. That's the thing, Yang. It's not just some bird. It's a Nevermore. Ruby yelled. She grunts on her side of the call, as if she is doing her best to dodge the Grim attacking her. What? Yang exclaimed. Snarl. Sonic managed to get his friend Tails back to Blue Base so that Doc can check on him, but the moment we did, a Nevermore flew out of nowhere along with a Death Stalker that came bursting out the walls of the canyon near the base. We need to call and get everyone here. Now. Yang's face tensed up as she heard Ruby's frantic explanation. Wait. A Nevermore and a Death Stalker. Both at the same time. That's one hell of a deja vu right there. How the hell did they both show up out of nowhere? I don't know. They just started attacking out of nowhere. It's chaos down here. Hurry so we can ow. Ruby's voice crackled through the scroll, the sounds of clashing metal and loud screeches of Grim filling the background. The call ended with Ruby's voice getting cut off, worrying Yang in the process. Ruby. Griff and Simmons, having overheard the conversation, exchanged uncomfortable glances. Something tells me I'm going to regret asking, but what was that all about? Griff asked. Yang sighed. Turns out my sister is getting attacked by a Nevermore and a Death Stalker. Simmons gulped in fear. Death Stalker. As if these Grim couldn't get any more scary enough. Now there's one with death literally in its name. Just please tell me it doesn't involve bears this time. Griff hoped for the best. No. Yang said, emphasizing on the P sound at the end. Phew. Griff was relieved to hear that. We're all about to face a giant bird and a giant scorpion. Yang said bluntly. Hearing this made Griff and Simmons tensed up immediately. You're saying, we're supposed to fight a bird Grim and a scorpion Grim? That's somehow even more dangerous than the Ursas. I didn't sign up for this. I'm not getting paid enough to get stung or eaten like a worm. Seriously, what kind of world do y'all live in? Griff exclaimed, freaking out a little. Griff, when do we ever get paid? Besides, if we don't help them, there might not be a base left to hide in. Simmons explained. Griff groaned. I hate when you're right. It's always when it means more work for me to do. Yang was already revving Ember Celica, her gauntlets blazing with energy. Alright, enough whining. We need to move. Now. Ruby needs us, and if there's a Nevermore and Death Stalker on the loose, we need all hands on deck. She said, as she used her scroll to try to get in contact with everyone. Simmons glanced at Griff. You heard her. We'll just have to try not to die this time. Said the nerd who was whining like a little bitch a few seconds ago. Griff complained, already not liking this direction. Smack. Asterisk. Ow. Simmons slapped Griff on his head with his mechanical arm. What the hell? Sorry, my hand felt moving on its own for some reason. Simmons told him, even though he's actually lying instead. In the middle of Blood Gulch, Ruby was running away as fast as she can from the oncoming Nevermore Grim, who was chasing after her from behind way up in the sky. It kept screeching wildly and flapped its wings to unleash a barrage of sharp feathers onto her like missiles. Ruby tried to sidestep out of the way through a couple of them, but a few of them managed to stab directly on her cloak. She struggles to get it off her clothing, but when she looks at what's approaching her is none other than the Death Stalker Grim. It's eyeing Ruby as if it's targeted another prey. Weiss, Blake, Yang, and the rest of the Reds and Blues came quick to witness Ruby getting pincushioned by a bunch of feathers. Her eyes were filled with desperation, as she continued to struggle to lift the feathers off of her. This worries Yang to where she ran to try help getting her sister out of there, but she then noticed the Death Stalker about to drop its entire stinger onto Ruby. Ruby! Yang yelled. She braced for impact by blocking it with her arms, not having many options left at her disposal. The Death Stalker's stinger slammed down, and for a moment, she thought she was gonna be dealt with massive amounts of pain. That is until someone was able to save her quickly. Swoosh! Sonic came passing by in a blue blur. He homing attack at the Death Stalker, causing it to falter back and stumble awkwardly, its massive legs skittering to regain balance. It was about to attack again, but Sonic quickly noticed this and decided to rev up into a ball, launch himself into the air to spin around in circles a couple times, and sent out a blue tornado which affected both the Death Stalker and Nevermore Grim, sending them both spiraling out of control like they were caught in a blender. The Death Stalker's legs flailed wildly, trying to stab anything it could, while the Nevermore let out a confused screech, wings buffeted by the tornado's force. Sonic landed smoothly next to Ruby, dusting himself off. That was almost too easy. Hey RWBY, sorry I'm a lil late to the party. Had to go and save church, again. RWBY was relieved. Thanks for the help, Sonic. But what do you mean? What happened to church? Sonic answered by gesturing his thumb to point at Church's body. She slightly gasped to see that he was unfortunately stabbed through the chest with one of the Nevermore feathers. Sonic winced. Oof, yeah, let's just say he was really lucky that he was a ghost. Otherwise, this little scene would play out something different entirely. Church is now once again transparent with white armor on. He looks down on the ground in embarrassment. I'm not in the mood to talk about it. Ha, you got the shit beaten out of you again. Griff teased. Zip it yellow. Church said. Goddamn it. I'm orange you asshole. Griff yelled back. Griff, just accept it at this point, no one is gonna care enough to get your color right anyway. Simmons suggested, where it made Griff slump down and sigh in defeat. Church, for real. Man, you are one unlucky bastard. It's like the world just hates your guts or something. Tucker commented. And it's a mighty fine world we're living in. Sarge added. Weiss was not surprised, except for Blake and Yang, who are in shock after seeing that Church is a ghost for the first time. He's a ghost, Yang exclaimed. RWBY's sweat dropped at her reaction. Hey, yeah, I don't get how this works either, but here he is, as a ghost, see-through and not dead. Don't patronize me, RWBY. Church stated firmly. Blake was still staring at Church with wide eyes, processing what she had just learned. So, you're dead, but not dead? She asked, her usual calm exterior cracking just a little. Church sighed heavily, crossing his arms. Yeah, pretty much. Welcome to my eternal nightmare. I get impaled, blown up, or shot, and I just keep coming back. It's a real blast. Weiss shrugged. I really don't get it either. No one can just become a ghost after they died. And there's no records in history that showed anything about ghosts in Remnant either. Church facepalmed in annoyance. Look, for the last time, I don't know about how this ghost shit works, okay? I already told you I'm like this because Caboose shot me with our tank because he's useless to do anything right. Not my fault, Tucker was the one who was messing with the controls. Caboose defended himself. Tucker sighs. Caboose, you do realize I couldn't do anything because I wasn't the one who was inside the tank, right? Still not my fault. Caboose replied. Tex yanked the feather out of RWBY's hood with a quick pull, causing RWBY to yelp in surprise. There. You're welcome, Tex said dryly, tossing the feather aside as if it was nothing. RWBY blinked, rubbing the spot on her cloak where the feather had been stuck. Thanks, Tex, I was kinda stuck there. Tex waved off. Yeah, don't think I did this because I care about you or anything. Yang, still staring at Church, leaned in closer to RWBY. So, you sure he can do anything to help? Because I don't think he's gonna be all that useful in a fight. Before RWBY could answer, Church interjected. Hey, I'm standing right here, you know. And just because I'm temporarily dead, doesn't mean I'm not useful. Sarge, overhearing, laughed loudly. Useful. Blue, you're about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. You make my shotgun look like a hydrogen bomb compared to your lil coughing baby sniper rifle. That's not really a high bar to set up. Griff said. Church, exasperated, threw his hands up in the air. I swear, if I have to explain my ghost situation one more time, I'm gonna haunt each and every one of you. Yang raised an eyebrow. Can you even do that? Church paused, looking genuinely confused. Honestly, I have no idea. Yang gave a half smirk at Church's uncertainty, but before she could tease him more, a loud screech pierced the air as the Nevermore Grim, still dizzy from Sonic's tornado, started regaining its bearings. It let out another deafening cry, signaling that it wasn't done yet. Its wings flapped furiously as it regained altitude, eyeing the group with renewed aggression. The same went for the Death Stalker. It recovered from its staggered state and began to advance once again, its pincers snapping menacingly as it skittered toward the group with renewed fury. Its massive stinger loomed overhead, dripping venom, ready to strike at any moment. Blake, sensing the shift in the air, gripped her weapon tighter. It's not over. We need to split its attention. If it targets just one of us, we're in trouble. RWBY came up with an idea. Hey, remember how we took down that Nevermore back in the Emerald Forest? What if we can do it again? Yang's eyes lit up with recognition. You mean the old slingshot trick? I'm game. Blake nodded, her usual calm demeanor returning as she assessed the situation. We'll need Weiss's glyphs and some coordination, but it could work. We just have to keep both the Nevermore and Deathstalker occupied long enough to set it up. Weiss, overhearing, conjured a glyph beneath her feet. I can handle the glyphs. Just tell me where you need them. Sonic zipped back to the group in a blur of blue. If you guys have a plan, I'm totally in. I'll help take down that giant Tweety for ya. Church floated nearby, still trying to make himself useful. I can, provide some moral support or something. Wow, you truly are useful, Griff said sarcastically. What can you expect from a dirty blue anyway? Sarge said. And here I thought you couldn't sink any lower. Simmons stated. Fuck off Reds. Church growled. I can't exactly get my body back if these two Grim are gonna come in and wreck my shit up. You know what? Screw it, I'll help too. Tex steps in. The less Grim I'll have to deal with, the closer I can be to finally getting O'Malley around here. Ruby nodded. Okay Tex, everyone. Here's the plan. The Reds, Blues, and Tex will try to distract the Deathstalker while Team RWBY sets up the slingshot. Sonic, keep doing your speedy thing with the Nevermore. Get its attention so we can get a clear shot at it. Church, just float there and try not to die, again. Ruby gave an awkward thumbs up. Let's go. Fuck my life, Church muttered. Everyone went off to get ready for the upcoming battle at hand, but before Sonic could move on, a certain yellow-orange soldier halts him. Hold on, Griff interrupted. You, Hedgehog, you promised chili dogs after this, you brought them, right? Sonic said nothing and gave Griff nothing but a teasing smirk. He noticed this and then slowly realized he took the bait. Why you brought chili dogs, after this right? Sonic shook his head. It's always the hungriest that are the easiest to deal with, he said, as he sped off to deal with the Nevermore. Griff was stunned. I'm about to die, aren't I? Well, you were always the one to constantly think with your stomach and not your use of common sense, or lack thereof. Simmons pointed out. Guys, Tex gotten the duo's attention. Giant grim scorpion going to kill us all, remember? They turn to see Caboose running away screaming as the Deathstalker is chasing after them. Sarge is holding for dear life onto its stinger. And finally, Tucker is dodging every strike the Grim is swinging its massive pincers towards him. Do we have to? Griff asked, with fear evident in his voice. It's either get killed by me, or by that. Tex suggested. Simmons winced. Any plans that doesn't get us killed. Plan A or Plan B, you morons. Tex yelled. Plan B. Plan B. They both shouted simultaneously. Good. Tex stated firmly. Griff and Simmons, realizing they had no choice, readied their rifles and ran toward the Deathstalker, albeit reluctantly. Caboose kept running in circles, yelling incoherently as the massive scorpion-like Grim chased him, its pincers snapping wildly. Sarge, still clutching onto its stinger, letting out whoops and hollers as he fired shotgun blasts into its armored shell. Tex, Tucker called, barely dodging another swipe. I hope your plan involves not getting our heads crushed. Tex darted past him, signaling for Griff and Simmons to get into position. You two, start shooting. Tucker, keep it distracted. Griff groaned. I can't believe I'm risking my life, again. Simmons snapped. Just shoot, Griff. Or would you rather have the scary lady kill us? Reluctantly, Griff opened fire, his shots bouncing off the Deathstalker's thick armor. Yeah, you know what, Simmons. Plan A is looking really good for us right about now. Smack. Asterisk. Ow. Simmons barely managed to dodge, but the Deathstalker's pincer clipped him, sending him tumbling across the dirt. Griff was slapped away as well, he crashed right next to his partner, wallowing in pain. Tex. A little help here, Simmons yelled, scrambling to his feet just in time to dodge another swipe. Tex was already on the move. She jumped onto the Deathstalker's back, grappling it with one hand as she swung her rifle with the other, firing point blank at its armored head. Stop being a coward, Simmons. There's gotta be another way. The Deathstalker swung its massive tail onto Tex, but she dodged it with her quick reflexes, and gained a safe distance away from the Grim. Simmons gulped, trying his best to keep his composure as he peppered the Deathstalker with shots, each one bouncing off its thick armor. Any chance I could get a gun that actually works on this thing? I'm really starting to regret every decision that led me here. Griff commented, being paralyzed with fear already. Damn it men. Get yourselves together. Sarge shouted, still holding onto the stinger. Boom. Asterisk. Tex threw a couple of grenades at the Deathstalker. The explosion startled it a bit, but doing little damage to its armor. How? Tucker exclaimed. Our weapons are doing jack shit, and Caboose over here is yelling and running away in circles. Ah. Caboose screamed as he passed by them. So yeah, we're basically all screwed. Tucker said. What the fuck can we even do? Griff exclaimed. I don't know. Use your head, Simmons suggested, while panicking a little. The moment Simmons said those exact words, it began to echo into Sarge's mind, as he came up with a perfect idea. Simmons. Excellent plan as always. He let go of the stinger and landed next to his intelligent comrade. Oh thank you sir. Simmons said, not knowing how to handle the sudden praise. But what are you going to do? Why are you carrying Griff? Sarge grabbed a hold of Griff's entire body and lifted him above him. What the hell do you think you're doing? Griff yelled, flailing his arms in a mix of confusion and panic. Put me down. I'm not your damn meat shield. Sarge was unfazed by Griff's protests. You're exactly what we need. You're going to be our human projectile. What? Griff shouted at the top of his lungs. Sarge. That's retarded. Simmons. Tell him this plan of his is horrible and why it would fail, please. Simmons has no words. Oh, you motherfucker RR. Griff yelled as Sarge hurled him into the air like a rag doll. Griff's protests were cut off by the rush of wind as he flew through the air, arms flailing wildly. The Deathstalker blocked the incoming Griff with his pinchers, but once he collided against it, the Grim staggered from the unexpected impact. Griff's makeshift projectile maneuver had surprisingly struck a nerve, and the Deathstalker let out a frustrated screech as it tried to regain its balance. Griff tumbled into the ground, rolling for a few seconds, until he finally stopped. He tried to get back up to steady himself, but quickly took off his helmet for a bit just high enough to reach his mouth and began puking his guts out onto the floor. Blard. Ew, that's just straight up gross. Tucker gagged. Tex was busy eyeing the now dizzy Deathstalker. She glanced at its stinger that was hanging on top of its tail and had already found the solution to take care of it once and for all. Tucker. What? That stinger. Tex pointed with her index finger. Cut it off. Oh, sure. Tucker said. He activated his energy sword and threw it at the Deathstalker's exposed stinger. The energy blade whirred through the air, slicing through the stinger with a clean cut. It landed on top of the Grim's head, stuck in place. Once his sword landed on the ground, Tucker quickly ran to pick it up before the Deathstalker had any time to react. Okay, now what? Tucker asked. Now, I'm gonna nail that son of a bitch down. Tex shouted, her eyes narrowing as she eyed the Deathstalker, who's now more vulnerable without its stinger. She began running at incredible speed, although not as fast as Sonic's speed or Ruby's petal burst. It was still enough for her to reach a good amount of momentum to launch herself up in the air. Almost above the canyon's wall and fell right back down with a heavy punch. Wham! Asterisk. The force of the impact was intense enough to send shockwaves through the ground, causing rocks and debris to scatter in all directions. It was even powerful enough to trip and cause everyone around her to be off balance as they fell to the ground. Roar. Asterisk. The Deathstalker Grim roared one more time before finally succumbing to its wounds. Its entire body then disintegrated into nothing, as its corpse was now nowhere to be found thanks to their hard efforts. Tex landed kneeling with her fist on the floor, while the Reds and Blues were too nauseous to even stand back up. Except for Caboose, who came back screaming, until he stops in place. Oh, the huge crab thing is gone now. Caboose said, missing all of the action that took place. Sonic was moving really quickly to get the attention of the Nevermore. He attempts to do anything to make sure it focuses on him. Hey big bird. Can't catch what you can't see. Sonic taunted as he expertly dodged a swipe from its massive talons, speeding away before the Nevermore even had a chance to strike again. The blue hedgehog zipped around in tight circles, kicking up small dust clouds as he whizzed past the Nevermore, never staying in one spot long enough for it to get a fix on him. Each time it tried to lash out with its talons or shooting its own feathers at him, Sonic was already gone, appearing a split second later to keep up his taunts. Come on, I thought birds were supposed to have good aim. he shouted, smirking as he performed a quick spin dash right under the Nevermore's claws. The Nevermore screeched in frustration, wings flapping furiously as it tried to lock onto Sonic's rapid movements. He passes through the Grim without any issue whatsoever. It was until then Sonic formed up an idea. He darted over to a nearby tree, where he made a quick turn and pushed off, launching himself in a direct line at the Nevermore. In midair, he spun around in a ball, created his blue tornado that whipped up debris and made it even harder for the Grim to focus. The Nevermore, now spinning and struggling to stay balanced, stumbled awkwardly and screeched in annoyance as the vortex pulled it off course. Sonic landed, giving RWBY a thumbs up as he caught his breath. "Alright, Rubes. This big bird's all yours." Team RWBY is now prepared with their plan to strike down the Nevermore. Blake threw out her gamble shroud, extended her ribbon with Yang holding it in place at around 2 trees near her. Weiss got her chance to pin down the Nevermore before it has any chance to recover. She used her glyphs to propel herself to set off her ice dust, freezing it in place. She then backflips, along with using her glyphs, and sped back towards her position near RWBY and Church. She conjures up another glyph to pull RWBY and the ribbon backwards with enough force, targeting the frozen Nevermore with their slingshot maneuver. "You're telling me this is what you 4 did during your first initiative back then before getting accepted at your academy?" Church exclaimed, not understanding how they see this as normal for them. "And none of you question how morally effed up any of this is." Weiss rolled her eyes. "At least we're out here doing something meaningful. We're fighting Grim to protect people, not just standing around and talking like you dimwits anyway." Church scoffed, throwing his hands up. "Meaningful? You're risking your lives, and for what? Some school initiation that involves slingshotting yourself at giant death monsters. And no one thought to question if sending children into war against them isn't a good idea." "Church, we don't have time to deal with this right now," RWBY stated. "Weiss, you got the Grim on your site, right? We'll take it down just like we did before. Do you really think someone like you can make that shot?" Church asked. Weiss smirked confidently. "I don't know, can I? Can yo? Of course I can," Weiss yelled at Church. Church groans. "I swear, you people are all crazy. But if this actually works, it will work, Church," RWBY replied. "I have faith in my team, that's how I know this'll work." Church sighed, crossing his arms. "Alright, RWBY, if you say so. Just, try not to get yourselves killed." RWBY flashed him a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, Church. We've got this." She took a deep breath, tightening her grip on Crescent Rose, and locked eyes with Weiss, who gave her a confident nod. Weiss conjured the final glyph, setting RWBY's launch trajectory perfectly in line with the struggling Nevermore. The timing was critical. She held her breath, concentrating, as RWBY was pulled back in their makeshift slingshot. With a yell, RWBY was released, rocketing forward. The air around her whipped and blurred as she focused on the massive target before her, Crescent Rose ready to strike. She used her petal burst, along with her sniper shots with her Crescent Rose, to gain momentum to latch onto the Nevermore's neck with her scythe, firing it with her sniper rounds as she continued to drag it while running up the boxed canyon wall. And when she's about to reach the very top, slice. RWBY immediately decapitated it as she backflips into the air and made a graceful landing. The Nevermore Grim disintegrated into nothing once the final blow was struck, leaving only a faint trail of dark particles in the air. RWBY jumped back with a light hop and landed right next to her friends, taking a moment to catch her breath as she steadied Crescent Rose in her hands and puts it back behind her waist. She looked back at her team and Sonic, who were watching with wide eyes and grins. Yang was the first to break the silence with a proud shout. "That's my sister. Nailed it." She ran over to high-five RWBY, who grinned back, a flush of pride on her face. "She may be young, but there's a reason why Ozpin chose her to lead us after all," Blake said. "She's a complete dolt, a dunce, and pretty crazy at times," Weiss stated with irritation in her voice, until a smile was shown on her face afterwards. "But in the end, she's our leader, and I'll admit, was never a mistake in the first place." "Not bad for a bunch of teenagers, huh?" Sonic said to Church with a grin. Church, still trying to process what he'd just seen, muttered. "Okay, now I'm convinced. You people are all nuts, and kinda terrifying. But also, not bad. Not bad at all." Yang gasped dramatically. No way, it can't be. Did Mr. Foulmouth McGrumpy Pants just say the most heartfelt compliment towards us during an actual fight? Somebody pinch me, she teased, holding a hand to her chest in mock surprise. Don't get used to it. I'm just saying it like it is. Church corrected. Ruby couldn't help but laugh as she patted Church on the shoulder, even though her hand went through his body. That's okay, Church. We know you care, deep down. And hey, we'll take a little grumpiness over a grim infestation any day. PFF, whatever. Church scoffed, trying not to care for any of them. Still doesn't mean I like any of you. They saw the other Reds, Blues, and Techs who came back while carrying Church's body that is apparently now off of the Nevermore's feather after being impaled in the first place. Got this back for ya. Tex threw his body onto the ground. Oh, thanks. Church walked near his body and went inside of it, and in doing so was enough for him to get in control of his body back. Phew, I do not want to experience that hell again. Next time, maybe try not to get yourself killed. Simmons suggested, shaking his head. Yeah, really, Church. Tucker added. As taking down a giant scorpion is one thing, but a bird with sharp penetrating feathers. That stuff is messed up, man. Church stood up, rubbing his head. Whatever. At least I'm back in one piece. Say, you guys sure handled that pretty well. Sonic said with a grin plastered on his face. I managed to spot the yellow one flying straight through a giant scorpion. Who knew you make for a great human bullet? Griff glares at the blue hedgehog. I am going to, fucking, end you. Get in line, fatso, I'm first. Sarge said, still not trusting Sonic. Sonic chuckles with his hand behind his back. Oh, lighten up, will ya? What's wrong with having a little fun every once in a while? Griff grumbled in defeat, while Tex stepped into the conversation. So, is it over now? No more Grim to exterminate here. Team RWBY along with Sonic scanned the entire area around the place front and back. And so far, it's safe to say that they were able to defeat the Grim in Blood Gulch after the teleporter incident. Seems to be all clear for now. Blake said. Well, that sure was something. Yang said. By something, you mean potentially endangering all of our lives, all because relying on their teleporter wasn't the best choice to return home is an understatement. Weiss interjected, sounding disappointed by the outcome of it all. So, what now? Caboose asked. All you ladies are still far away from home, right? Ruby ponders for a moment, until she remembers something very important. She reached into her pocket again and showed off the red Chaos Emerald from earlier. Maybe this will help, Ruby exclaimed, holding the red Chaos Emerald up like a trophy. The Chaos Emerald, huh? Sonic said. Coming from my experience, they do tend to be weird when it comes to warping time and space, and other out-of-this-world shenanigans. So, I don't see why not. Ruby, do you really think that's going to work? Weiss asked. After the book incident from before, I'm not sure this will help. I know that, Weiss. Ruby replied. But we gotta try either way. It's my fault that we're stuck here in the first place in a world we don't belong in. It's our fault that we brought the Grim to their place after the teleporter exploded. And we need everything we can get to fix this mess. Ruby's determination shone through, her grip tightening on the emerald. Blake stepped closer, her brow furrowed in thought. Ruby's right. We've faced so many challenges before, and if this Chaos Emerald can help us return home, we should at least try. We can't just give up. She's right, Yang said. We can handle anything that's thrown our way. I mean, we did just save the Reds and Blues from the Grim after all. Weiss shook her head. But Yang, think about it. We're talking about these magical rocks that can harness the power of time and space. After the teleporter malfunction, I don't know if we can even get back home with only these in our possession. Hey, Sonic chimes in. It's also my fault for not stopping Eggman earlier and why you were using the emeralds in the first place. I'd say let me and my buddies tag along in your adventure as well. Team RWBY were taken aback towards Sonic's sudden response. Ruby blinked in surprise, her enthusiasm bubbling over. Wait, really? You want to come with us? Of course. You guys seem pretty awesome after killing that birdie, and I've always got room for a little more excitement. Sonic replied with a grin, hands on his hips. Besides, I could use a little backup against Eggman since he teleported himself along with my friends, would appreciate he help searching for them. Don't you think it might be a little dangerous? Weiss asked, crossing her arms skeptically. I mean, we're glad that you helped us with taking down that Nevermore, but I'm afraid things might get a bit more hectic moving forward. Sonic waved off. I've dealt with stuff way worse in the past. I'm sure I can handle whatever comes our way. Rumble. Before Sonic had time to say anything, the entire area began to shake violently. The ground trembled beneath their feet, sending loose rocks tumbling down from the canyon walls. The ground floor began to crack, as if something intense is going on underground. Okay, except for this, Sonic admitted. Oh, what now? Griff exclaimed. What's happening? RWBY yelled. I'm not sure, Weiss replied. Guys, I thought we took care of the Grim, why is everything shaking now? Church raised his voice. I dunno. There must be an earthquake taking place here. Simmons pointed out. What? The sky barely gets dark around here for years, how are we now having an earthquake? Tucker questioned. Well, first time for everything blue. Sarge said. This can't be good, Blake said, covering her bow from the loud pressure. I guess this is what we get for celebrating too early. Yang said with a shrug. Does that mean today is someone's birthday? Caboose asked, the earthquake somehow not affecting him in the slightest. Everyone move. Now, Tex shouted. The Reds, Blues, Tex, RWBY, and Sonic all sprang into action, scrambling to find solid ground as the tremors intensified. The air was thick with dust and the sound of cracking rock echoing ominously around them. They tried to run away from any danger that was headed their way, even though they technically couldn't see what's about to happen, that is until Sarge tripped and fell, losing his balance due to the shaking increasing. Ow! Sarge yelped in pain. Sarge! Simmons yelled. Forget him. We need to get back to our bases. Tex commanded. But we can't just leave him. Simmons said. He's our leader, and we don't leave our comrades behind. I can. Griff shouted, as he began running off without looking back. Griff! Are you kidding me? Simmons exclaimed. Sorry. It's just not worth it, man. Griff said, barely breathing the more he continued to run away. RWBY and her team saw Sarge struggling to get back up. She looked near her friend Blake. Blake, help out Sarge. He needs help. Blake nodded. On it. She leapt towards Sarge's position, kneeled down, and put her hands on Sarge's shoulders to steady him. Come on, Sarge. You've got to get up. Sarge grunted, his helmet slightly askew. I'm fine. Just a minor setback. Crack. Asterisk. Ah, my back. Sarge yelled as he heard his back snapping a little. Blake's sweat dropped. I'm sure you'll be fine later. She grabs his arm and puts him around her shoulder, helping him up. Just lean on me for now. We need to get out of here. My body isn't what it used to be. I gotta keep this 29-year-old body in shape. Sarge said, not wanting to feel insecure about his age right now. Don't worry, you just hang on to me, and we'll be okay. Wait, what did you just saw? Cracked. Asterisk. RWBY and Sonic were the first ones to quickly sped off, hoping to grab Sarge and Blake before anything bad happens to them, but the moment they do, the floor beneath the two shattered instantly. Sarge and Blake both screamed simultaneously as they began plummeting down into the depths below with dust and debris clouded around them as they fell off into the unknown. Blake, RWBY, Weiss, Yang, and Sonic yelled to their friend. Sarge. Simmons yelled out to his leader. Thud. Asterisk. The fall pushed them further away from the hole, making them tumble downward, helpless as they plunged deeper into the darkness, with the last thing they saw were their friends calling out their names. They both blacked out once they hit the ground below with a heavy thud, dust and debris settling around them as everything went dark. And this is the end of part 3 of this What If. Hope you guys like to know if you're leaving comment down below and subscribe to the channel.